Oh,
Hello.
hello. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Glad to see you today. Now,
Yes, you too. I love your show, by the way.
oh, thank you.
Yes, yes.
It's been a 5-year journey, and it just gets fun each time.
Oh, I bet. I mean, well, you're deep diving, which is wonderful, which is, I feel like because I'm an artist and in the entertainment business, you ask the questions that don't get asked, which is great, you
Are you
know?
serious?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It may be because I'm a therapist, and so
Oh, I love
yes,
that. How long have you
yeah.
been a therapist?
Goodness, maybe 9 years, but I specialize in children under 21.
Oh, good. Really
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And actually, this was started during the lockdown, during the pandemic, and I just thought about how do you inspire kids and everyone who just are feeling like this was so dire. So, when you talk to artists and people in the public eye who've gone through their own challenges and stood up, that was the whole emphasis of trying to share those stories just to give motivate people during that time. But it's continued
And
on
to
since.
purge as well. Yeah.
Yeah, just to be able to to celebrate the career, but also to let people know that yes, even in a public eye, we've had our ups and downs, but we still go forward, and then it's stuff people can hold on to and stuff.
I love it. I love that.
Yes. Now, I have been not scolded, but a lot of viewers used to say that they don't like seeing all of me, but when my guests put their cameras on portrait, it doesn't show enough of them. So I don't know if it's possible to go landscape because then we can see
Oh,
more of you.
okay. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see what I can do. Hold, let's see.
Go
Yeah.
back in. But I think 98% of my interviews are pre-recorded. So it's like, yeah, we have time to edit. I
Okay.
only go
And is it
live.
okay that I'm looking at you here? That's fine. Or I should make, there we go.
Okay.
I had to switch it around. There we go. Now you're, I wasn't looking
Okay.
at myself. I'm like, I hate that.
No,
Okay.
it's fine. It's
Is
fine.
this okay to have
Yeah, no,
you
it's
on my screen
perfect.
like this? Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's
Okay.
just, yeah, I, I, I did it twice. I think yeah, and I didn't notice. I'm normally I get excited when oh the guests are here and I'm talking. Then the viewers, 98% are very nice, and then you always have the one that will just always complain. So, and I
Yes.
realize actually, it's probably better to get more
You're
of you
like,
than
you're
less.
right.
Yes.
You're like, you weren't wrong.
Okay. Yes. So, for those who don't know, we were supposed to meet up on Monday, but we had the sad news about somebody who as kids we grew up watching on TV, but
Yeah.
that's Michael Jamal Warner, and you said you had to comfort a friend. So I'm sure being in LA, there are people that know and would be close to him and his family.
Yes. I'm still, I was just saying to a friend earlier that you never know how different celebrities are going to affect you until it happens. It's like we were so busy watching Malcolm be this accomplished father, poet,
Mm.
musician, actor that we weren't prepared, and it's one thing when you're prepared for someone to go because you see that they're ill and
Yeah.
you're not ready for it, but you can kind of take it. But it was in the midst of his highest moment in
Mm.
life with his wife and children and his career, and everything was just gelling.
Mm.
So I think it was a collective heartbreak for anyone that's grown up watching The Cosby Show, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um, you're never prepared for anyone to go. And when they're in the industry and they're like, we said that he was like our brother, that's a real feeling.
Yeah.
And it just collectively broke all of our hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's when somebody's in this public eye and they pass, because we almost feel like we know them,
Mm-hmm.
and we always feel that there's a part of us. And yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
and the way social media is, it and if you're on Instagram, everyone's posting it, then you can start. It actually can really keep make it so real and stuff. And yeah, it is definitely sad for him and his family, especially that young of age.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And his
and
mom and dad. I mean, it's just like, how do you, yeah.
yeah, but then I know we think about how um, when somebody passes who affect us all, people get sad. It's different when somebody who has who's affected us in a negative way and they pass. How and I had to reflect on this. So my father sadly passed away during the lockdown, during COVID, and he actually
Oh,
caught COVID while in hospital getting treated for um, pneumonia. And
oh my
just before he
goodness.
was getting discharged, he caught COVID on the hospital ward and passed. And as tough as that was, I remember he told me that if he dies, he needs to be buried back in Nigeria. So we had to fly him from the UK to Nigeria, and hundreds of just thousands of people attended the funeral. And I said, this is just what my dad loves a party. He loves inviting people. But then I
Mhm.
was reflecting on that everyone had great things to say about him. So it always strikes me that when people who pass and everyone remembers something good about them, and that's the kind of legacy we all want to leave, where people they're sad that we've gone, but they celebrate the memories they had with us, as opposed to saying good riddance and yes, and coming out the woodwork to say, oh, you don't know how bad this person was. And so
Right.
that's the thing that I can appreciate with Malcolm, that I felt like he was my older brother who I can learn from, watching him make those mistakes on TV and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
saying, okay, even as a parent, um, when his dad says, that's the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. I brought you into this
Yes.
world and I can take you out of it. And I said, wow, now as a father, I can remember situations like that with my own kids. So that's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, he is he's going to be remembered forever because he stood in the gap for a lot of people. I've never had a brother and I
Mm.
always wanted one. And so I feel like I kind of adopted his character as my brother because you're right. It was so honest and real. So yeah, he will definitely be missed for sure.
Definitely. Now,
Hmm.
I always start my show by asking my guests where they were born and raised, because we've got an international audience and people are dialing in from everywhere. So,
Yes. Well, I just found out that you're Nigerian and you live in the UK.
yes, I did go to college in the US and I lived out there for 10 years.
Oh,
Um,
where'd you go?
so I was first in Selma, Alabama, because that's where my uncle and family live. So I went to a historic black college called Concordia College in Selma.
Okay.
The same Selma where, Martin Luther King came to help them march. So I was out
Yeah.
there for 18 months. Then I moved to Milwaukee. I was there for
Okay.
2 years. Well, I graduated in university in Milwaukee, and then I moved to LA. So lived in Redondo Beach, then bought
Okay,
a
yeah.
house out in Culver City, right on Overland, right near Sony.
Very nice.
So
So
yeah.
you've been all over and you're back now in the UK or
But back now in the UK, but my two younger brothers live in Portland, Oregon,
okay.
yeah, I was out there this May or so with the family to have a little family reunion. But yes, but yeah, I've been back in the UK for a bit, for a while, and yes, settled for now.
Well, that is interesting because I am from Memphis, Tennessee,
Okay.
and I've obviously, well, not obviously, I guess, but I live in Los Angeles and I've been here for 22 years. But I also lived in London for
Oh,
7.
wow, what part?
I well, well, I was doing London's West End, so they put
Wow.
me in. Oh, wait. Let me think of it. Let me think of it. Um, Jubilee line at the end of the Jubilee line,
So
Canary Wharf.
Canary Wharf, okay. Wow, okay. The city,
Yeah,
okay. Okay,
yeah.
the financial
So
city, okay.
it
Wow.
was that was such a great experience, and I will happily come back if things don't change in America.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I mean, if if they're living out in Canary Wharf and then working in the West End and in those areas, I'm sure but 7 years is quite a long time though. Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was 4 years the first, no, it was 5 years the first time, 2 years the second. So I left, went and lived in China for 1 year and came
Wow.
back. Oh
Wow.
yeah. Well, I will never do that again. Been there, did that. And then came back for 2 years, back to London, and then came to Los Angeles. So that 20 years and that 7 years was kind of broken for both of those.
Okay. So, well, you grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. For
Hmm.
those of us who aren't, well, for those who aren't familiar with Memphis, apart from Elvis, and Graceland, so what was it like growing up in Memphis?
Apart from that, what's really interesting? Um, the Black people from Memphis don't really talk about Graceland. I mean, we drive past and go,
Yeah.
we're we're more into the Lorraine Motel and Stax Records
Oh,
and
Stack Records, yes.
yes, we love celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King, and that's more our you know that's our chin up.
So for those who don't
Um,
know, that's where we got
he
assassinated.
passed.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. So that's a big part of it. And of course, we've got, BB King. We love celebrating the blues. It's a blues city.
Mm.
Barbecue and sunshine and um yeah, I had a fantastic childhood. And so Memphis for me is family, food, and Motown, even though I know but it's the music. It's like a musical city, and it's all about, can you sing? Do you praise the Lord? And can you cook? You know what I mean? It's
Wow.
it's that sort of universe. So it's great.
So I remember you said singing. When did that come about? Was it
My parents were singers. I grew up
okay?
in a household full of tunes. They met in a singing group in high school
Wow.
and were signed to Stax Records. And then their parents said nope, pulled them out of that, and they didn't touch it anymore. But music was still the center of our family. We had this extra room in our house that had great acoustics, and that's where the Christmas tree would be. And my father put his record player and just his collection of records. And one year I got a microphone stand that lit up from the bottom for Christmas, and he taught me how to sing. And I mean, I've been singing since I was two, but to make it like a Sunday thing where you were cleaning and singing and all of
Yeah.
that, it was probably around six,
Wow.
7 years old, where yeah, it became a part of my DNA for sure.
It feels as if they got the story of Coco and Miguel from your. Have you watched Coco? Where they have to
No.
be. Oh, Coco, the animation, the
Oh, of
Pixar.
course. Yes, Coco.
Remember
Listen.
me? Yeah, yeah. So the fact that
Yeah.
they're like no singing in this house, no music. So you gotta make sure. So you said your parents, your grandparents says no singing, get away from.
Well, for them, for their children, because you have to think of it this way, because Memphis is in the South, and
Mm.
most Southerners, when you think back to the great great parents, great grandparents and grandparents, we're talking people that cleaned homes and
Mm,
were, maids and
mm,
were still picking cotton.
yeah,
And so the idea that you could be successful as a musician, it's like you're that's one in a million. I want you to go to school, or I want you to have a regular job so that you don't end up like me and your dad. And I feel
mm,
like that was maybe their parents' idea of success is having a family, bringing home, a paycheck and having something steady. So yeah, they didn't allow them to dream too big because,
yeah,
what's a black person's dreams but just something you wake up from, not something that you do for a living.
yeah. I mean, I I never understood the challenges that African Americans have faced because when I moved there, um, and I remember being in college, and one of the guys said after his second year, says, "Well, I'm going to quit college and get a job because
Mm.
the systems are never going to let me survive. So I'm just going to quit." I was like, "What do you mean? What system?" I, you know, I'd come from the UK and being Nigerian heritage, I'd gone to my hometown. I knew where my great grandfather was. I knew our family line. And so there was no sense of you can't do anything. It was a sense of anything's possible. But
Hmm.
imagine if my dad was, if my dad, who was born in the 40s, civil rights and segregation, and he's seen that, and my grandparents have seen that, then those stories would be so fresh that it would almost limit my sort of dream. It took me a while to understand why there was a challenge and why you may see lots of African immigrants coming in and thriving because
Yeah.
we don't have that history of mental block that tells us this is this can't be done. We just see
And more than,
opportunity.
oh, absolutely. And more than anything, you know where you're from.
Yeah.
And there is a missing piece of our hearts even now, just in not in the UK, everyone will say, "So where are you from?" And I go, "Memphis, Tennessee." And they're like, "No, no, no, where you really from?" And I'm like, "I
Okay.
have no idea." And it would be such a letdown, because it's a hard thing to not be able to trace your heritage in that
Yeah.
way. And then I would ask them, "Well, where would you say I was from?" And some people say, "Oh, you're definitely from Ghana." And then other,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
you're definitely
you've got the
Nigerian."
chocolate complexion. So I would think, yeah, I could see the Ghanaians why they would try and claim you.
So, I mean, and then just for a little bit to even be thought of as having that ancestry at all felt good because we don't know.
Yeah.
And it's a huge gap I think it's a gap in our spirit that,
Mm.
not sure how it would be filled except for whenever I hear someone say, "Oh, I went to Africa and I felt like I was, one with Mother Earth." It's that, it's
Yeah.
that feeling of like, "Oh my gosh, maybe this is what I've been missing my whole life is
Yeah.
the connection to the motherland." So that's the other thing. You start to lose a little bit of hope because now you have a system that is here that's set up for you not to, and
Yeah.
as your friend was saying, not to win.
Mm.
And it's a burden. I don't know if that was a black man or not, but
Yeah.
it's a huge burden on a black man,
Yeah, it was.
um, to be, successful and to play the game, and and to not have people cross the street when you're walking, and all kinds of things. But black in general, it's tough in America. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. As I said, yeah, 10 years. But as I said, it was definitely, yeah, because as I said, I knew I never had an identity crisis. So
Crisis. Hmm.
I could work, and when I worked in Los Angeles, and everyone around me was white, and but I didn't see the color. I didn't even notice I couldn't see my color. I was just, we were
Interesting.
thriving
Yeah.
and going, Redondo Beach after work. We'd go beach volleyball and stuff, and I didn't see the barriers because it was like, well, this is just fun, and I could see success. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until I moved back to the UK that some of my friends in the US saw me on Facebook and says, "Where are your white friends?" Because I moved to the UK and all of a sudden we're all in our Nigerian community and our African community. We're all, we're Nigerian British and we're Ghanaian British,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
UK really started to. I almost felt that, and I said, "Wow, I didn't realize that I went from being the only black person in a group of in an office and friends to not having any connection with white people anymore, moving to the UK because subconsciously they just put us in our silos." So that's just been
Mm.
a different over here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's enough about me. Really back to you. So,
It's fun.
parents get, with their singing and stuff, did did church play a part in singing at all? Because that seems to be a big part of most families, but how was it in your family, your case?
Church was not a big thing in my family, and I'm probably one of maybe a handful of people, if I might be the only one from Memphis, Tennessee, that didn't start off in the church. And I'm glad that you're bringing this up because it's one of those things that I used to shy away from answering because
Oh,
yeah, because I used to be embarrassed
oh.
that I was in a southern city where there was a church on every corner, and yet I didn't grow up singing in the church, nor did I really have a church home for many, many years. Not that we didn't believe in God and all of that, but it traces back to some things that happened to my mom, who was trying to protect us from church. And
Mm.
so we didn't grow up in church. But I would always be so, um, I don't want to say jealous, but more like enamored by the people that did go because they would be the ones. I went to a performing arts school, so they would be the ones gathered together singing on the steps, and they knew all these harmony parts and they knew all these church songs, and I never fit into that. And then
Wow.
I said, you know what, I'm going to join the gospel choir. And that's what I did. I started joining the gospel choir so that I could learn at least some hymns or something that would connect me to that world, because otherwise, um number one, you don't want to walk around and say, well, I don't go to church because of this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other thing is just how are you black and not, you know, full of the gospel? So I just it was one of those things, it was one of those barriers for me. Vocally, it didn't change anything because I feel the spirit when I'm singing. I feel a connection to God, and I always have when I was singing. I just wasn't physically in the church in
Mm.
order for that to happen. Um I mean, since then, I've been in and out of church for quite some time, but I just always felt ostracized growing up in my city because everyone knew the lingo, and it was a lot happening around me, and I was just like, oh, let me fade a little bit so that no one asks me what church I go to, or let me say, okay, guys, see you later, so that no one asks me to sing a gospel song.
Wow.
But now it's a part of who I am. It shaped me. Number one, it allowed me to see people completely without um, judgment, because sometimes church groups can be a little judgy. So I never really grew up in that whole judgmental environment. Um, and I might get some flack for saying that, but I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah, no,
know,
no, no.
it is what it is. And
Mm,
but also when I did find a good church and all of that, I did feel at home too. So
mm.
it's all of it came together when it was supposed to, but it was definitely hard growing up.
I mean, so much of the late 80s and 90s where, majority of these singers came from the church. And that's
Hmm.
actually what labels were looking for, like an Aaron Hall or Coco or,
Yeah,
Luther, everyone that could bring
of
that
course.
church soul into R&B, Casey and JoJo and all these people. So it almost became it became a breathing ground for training artists and vocalists,
Hmm.
where if you can sing in front of church and just and just be spontaneous just with the music. Even the
Yeah.
producers all came from the church, so it became the staple. So and probably was free too if you're singing in the choir.
Yeah.
It was a place
I
to
wish they
challenge
would go
yourself.
back to that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but did it take a could then because what we did notice is when we did have those big voices from the 90s who came from the church, we could connect to what they were singing and things. Did it ever feel as if you were, I wouldn't say not authentic or so, when you're singing a soul song? Oh,
Never.
okay.
No, even when I found God, it was, I had the realization that he had been there the whole time.
Mm,
Um, and it was, no, God has always been in me, always been a part of my voice. It was always innate.
mm,
Um, it was like, it was one of those things where I say something in my show. I have a show, and I say something in my show about singing Saving All My Love for You when I was
mm,
young. And whatever age that was, I think it was like 10, maybe, where I saw Whitney on MTV for the first time, and I was awestruck. And I started singing that song without knowing what that song was about, because we all know that that was about her being a mistress, right?
oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, you got to go back to your family and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Um, but exactly, right? So now you're having the aha moment. But for me, I still, for however this worked as a child, I could still pull the emotion from whatever I
Mm,
was singing. And I knew whatever this is, it's deep. And I would even start crying. I didn't know what I was singing about, but I feel like I said all that to say that it was just it wasn't a learned thing. It was
mm,
always something that was just a part of who I was. And anytime I needed to express, I could.
mm.
Um, Obviously that grew over time, because it's one thing when you're 8 to be singing that song, to be 25 and you've been through some things, or 30, and now all of a sudden you're like, woo, and you kicking your shoes off and, you know, twirling your wig around and really crying. Um, but I didn't have to dig too deep for it at such a young age, and now I know why, and that's because God was with me that whole time. It's like, yeah, it's hard to explain, but yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
there.
So if you were doing that, then were you able to sing in with the choirs and stuff in high school?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was in all West, all state, the gospel choir, any singing. We had girl groups on the side, the pom-pom girls were in clusters singing as well. There was not a moment that I wasn't singing. And as a matter of fact, everyone called me Little Whitney at school since I was
Wow.
in elementary school. I mean, I sang, I believe, what's it? I believe the children are our future. I've singing them my whole life, every audition for every little thing, all the way up till she came out with I Will Always Love You. And it just became a part of, oh my gosh, get her to sing, get little Whitney to sing it.
Wow.
So yeah.
So if you finished in high school, what was career path? The army,
I got a full, well, I got a full music scholarship
Okay.
to the University of Memphis. And my mom was like, that's good and all. I'm proud of you, but I want you to be able to make money. And it was just like what her parents said. She was
Wow.
afraid of me falling into this industry that's probably grown to be way more toxic than since, she tried to do it. And so the first year of college, I double majored. I went to nursing classes, and I also
Oh.
was a music major. And it was chaotic for me mentally, and it just was too much. And I remember by the time I got to my junior year, I called my mom and I was like, I can't keep doing this because I don't think she realized that music is just as demanding
Mm,
as nursing. And they're on opposite ends of the campus. So
wow.
it was a lot to try to keep up, and I wasn't doing a very good job. And I
Mm.
knew what I really wanted to do was sing. So I called her one day. I walked out of class and I said, yeah, I think music is what I really want to do. And I kind of like, I'm on the phone, but I kind of like did the whole like, what's she gonna say? And she wasn't happy, but she did say, I'll give you 1 year to do this music thing. And if it doesn't work out, you got to go back to nursing school. And I was like, okay, okay, okay. And it just so happens that that's when I auditioned for American Idol. So
Oh,
6 months later, I was on the show, and it didn't
oh.
matter.
So was it the case where you were going to quit college completely or just drop nursing and just do music?
I was going to drop nursing and just do music.
The
I
music
loved it.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So while you were in your, was it while you in your junior year doing your music degree that you got the audition to American Idol?
I By then I think I'd stopped going altogether. No, I was in the middle of school. And yeah, and working as well. And so I had to keep going back and forth for the auditions, ended up losing my job and didn't complete the year because the audition looks like it's 5 minutes, but it's actually it's a few weeks, like more like 6 to 8 weeks long.
Okay.
And then you have to fly to LA and then you have to, um, yeah, so I ended up having to drop out of college and my job.
What made you decide to audition for American Idol? What was that season? What season was that?
Two, two.
Season two. So
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Clarkson had won the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I watched that season and I
Ah,
remember thinking, I can do this. Like this seems like fun. This is maybe this will be my big break.
mm,
And I wanted to do it. I've always been that person though. It's like one of those things where you can just feel God go, that's it.
yeah.
He kind of like gives you and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
I'm going.
Oh, okay.
So
So
it's one of those nudges
yeah, and
in
and
life.
and and I guess people who I think people watching now, maybe they're watching The Voice, and I know American Idol's still back on. Probably we won't be aware of how big it was back then.
It'll never be that big again. I mean, we had 48, 42, between 42, 48, 50 million people
Yeah,
watching that show when we were on. It was brand new. It was um, family time
yeah,
around the
yeah,
TV, and
yeah,
you were voting like crazy. You
yeah,
still had a house phone for God's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
um and the cell phone had just been sort of kind of
Mm,
this iPhone thing had just sort of kind of come up, so we were in the pocket of people still watching television,
mm,
families still sitting around the television at night and having dinner together, and it was the perfect marriage and the perfect season to be on there, really.
yeah.
Pandemonium, actually. It was pandemonium. It was insane.
So because I think I left in 2002.
Oh, wow.
I left the US and but in at the beginning of 2002 I was at UCLA and I was doing
Mhm.
a music management um postgraduate and we had one no so one of my lectures was in A&R and we had this guy who was the senior vice president of A&R for Columbia Records, um,
Mm.
Mr. Randy Jackson
Oh,
teach,
rent.
teaching us, and he was so this was he hadn't this is his yeah dog yeah so that and he was
Oh,
he
that's
was
Randy.
really down to I mean so he was So he was our lecturer and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I didn't finish. And after I finished, and then moved to the UK, and then they showed American Idol just as they showed. It was almost like how Game of Thrones is. As they showed in the US, they're showing it here. It was
Yeah.
massive. And I'm like, that's my teacher. That's Randy.
That's my teacher.
I was like, look at Randy and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so
How was he as a teacher?
like laughing and joking and
Hmm.
telling us stories because he wanted to give us a picture as to how the industry was, so we can absorb it, and I didn't know
Mm.
years later I'm talking to people who he tried to sign, and and understand, but it was a good insight for me. I wanted to be, I can't sing or write or produce, but I wanted to be, dare I say, Diddy. I wanted to be the guy behind the music. I wanted to be the
Yeah, no, there's nothing we understand what that
that I
means.
wanted to be, like that's I was a visionary and stuff like that. We're so
You want to
uh
be the executive
it
behind
was
it
the
all.
executive, but he was
Yeah,
to me he was the model of that kind of executive, just being able to make it hit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
Uh,
no one else but him and Ellie Reed Babyface. That was it.
Yeah, but they felt too old. He was just hip. Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah. I mean, L.A. Reid. I mean, he could, L.A. Reid was a musician, and they co-wrote, they
Mm-hmm.
produced. Diddy was just like the intern who just had a vision. So, and we all followed this story from Uptown intern
Yeah.
to starting his label. So that was like, Lord, that's what I wanted to do and stuff.
Yeah. I
But
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but so, how hard was the audition? Because I'm sure it must have been, back in those days, hundreds of thousands of people, or was it still not many people took it
Oh,
seriously?
oh, it was again, it was pandemonium. I mean, there was so again, I told you I was working at the time and going to school and everything. And I had to take off work to drive to Nashville because it wasn't in
Okay.
Memphis. It was in Nashville. So I had to drive the 2 hours there
Wow.
and the 2 hours back each audition. The first audition was 3 days we stood outside on a
What?
rooftop in the cold.
At least
Three
you go to
days
sleep and come back, or you have to sleep out in the line.
in the line.
What?
So people would hold your place. You would go and buy a tart because we didn't realize that we were going to be in line for 3 days. We thought we were all going to get in at the same time, even though the line was 3 days long.
What?
Um, but you thought you were going to see the judges that day because we watched the first season and it
Yeah, yeah,
seemed so
yeah.
simple and the editing. But oh no. So first they wanted to see, do you want this? How long are you willing to wait? And a lot of people would step out of the line. Some people would be crying, Mom, I lost my voice. Dad, this is too much. I'm having fits, practicing, singing all day long to try not to lose their voices. Me, I was mute. I was literally just, you know, looking and I knew what I wanted to sing, but I was looking around and just kind of seeing what everyone else was doing, getting to know a couple of people in front of me and a couple of people behind me. And then when the third day came, no, I would say the second day, when the second day came, I'd gone with my best friend from Memphis. She was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go with you. Don't you worry." It was the weekend, so she was like, "I'll drive with you and drive back." And so she's in line with me, and I remember we went to the car for a second because we had to go to the bathroom. So we went to the
Mm.
car, and I was like, let's just take a little nap. Let's just let's just take a tiny little nap. So I think we took like a 30-minute nap, came back out, stood in the line. By the next morning, someone finally opened that door and said, "Thank you all for coming. We're only going to take the first 500." It was at least 3,500 people in line.
Oh, for the first 2 days, was anyone getting in?
No,
Oh,
we were standing in line waiting for 3 days. And so they were like, "We're only going to take the first 500. The rest of you can go." And I looked down at my number, and my number is 246.
wow.
So I'm looking at my bestie and I'm like, oh my God, like I could have been cut. I would have gone wherever else next. That's just, I mean, that's just how I am. But thank God I didn't have to. But I'm looking at everyone else just kind of making the decision in their mind, oh, this is crap, or
Mm.
never mind this, or whatever. And in my mind, I was thinking, I want to go all the way with it. And whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna do my best. And if I get through, great. If I don't, then it wasn't meant to be. And I just after that, I still didn't sing in front of the judges yet. This is just the producers.
Mm.
So you go and sing for the producers, and they're like, okay, yes, we'll keep you. Can you come back in a couple of days? And then I have to tell my job, hey, since gotta go back to Nashville. And they're like, yeah, okay. And I'm gonna say I had to do that 6 or 7 times.
Come back to sing this in front of the same people?
By the seventh or eighth time, that's when I saw the judges. And so that's how I lost my job because they were like, you're out of time. You don't have any more time left. And we love you and we're going to be rooting for you, but you can't continue to work here if you can't, if you're not going to be here. And I was like, oh, I completely understand. I was like, what is life? Don't matter. I'm gonna make it. It doesn't matter. Like I was literally like, it's okay. What am I gonna do? It's fine. I'm gonna make it. And so I finally got in front of the judges, and that's the part that people see on TV with me coming through the curtain. And I'm with my mom by then, and I had met a few of the people. We had all been there for so long, going back and forth together, that we started to bond. And yeah, and then they finally say you get the golden ticket, and you get flown out to Los Angeles, and it was 13 weeks of that.
What was it like the moment you walk in and you're seeing Simon Cowell and Randy and Paula? Do you get nervous?
I was nervous because, well, number one, I feel like because we waited for so long to be seen, that the nerves were, do I still have the voice that I had a few weeks ago when I was the strongest singing for the producers? And I
Uh,
remember my voice had gotten tired. So I had to switch my song last minute. I wanted to sing I Have Nothing, and I think I had to switch it to Learn from the Best. And I didn't want to sing that song, but I had to do it. And I remember um, Randy, Randy was like, as he does, well, good, And Paula was impressed, and Simon, I think he asked me something about my name or something like that, like something so random and so bizarre. But anyway, and but then they were like, "You're coming to Hollywood. This is great. You're great." And I was like, "Yeah." I ran through the curtain and was just like, "Oh my God, I'm really flying to Los Angeles. Like this is crazy." Because I hadn't been anywhere in my life up until that point. I hadn't so much as gone as far as the mailbox in Memphis. So you're talking Southern country, eyes wide open, completely green to everything, so ecstatic just to be in the room. Couldn't believe they liked me. I mean, I was such a child. It was great. And then they fly you to Los Angeles, and you're like, wow, we have a schedule, and they're waking you up super early. And then you're in Hollywood week, and they're pairing you off with people, and now you're in a duet, and now you're writing a song. And I don't know if they still do that process,
Mm,
but I hope that they do, because what that teaches you is you've got to be ready for everything.
mm.
And in the industry, it doesn't matter that you can sing. Which is what I didn't realize, is that it's a personality contest.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
It's about looks
yeah, yeah,
and a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with you.
yeah, yeah.
So that was the lesson pretty much that I learned from that.
Was it hard though? Because when we watch that boot camp does seem really hard. And then people are dropping out, and it feels as if, well, people being jealous of each other and how to manage that.
You know what's really interesting? I think our season was probably the most cohesive season. There was no Instagram
Mm,
or Facebook to ruin the moment for you, or fans constantly writing in. We were in that bubble and we
mm,
were all having the same experience. And so, matter of fact, I didn't know what people even thought of me until I came home.
yeah.
And that was, I'm talking end of the season. Like, so we were really immersed in that world. And I think it was great because you saw your strengths up against other strengths and your weaknesses, and you saw different personality types. And I'm not saying everybody from the top 100 or 50 or 30 or 10 got along all the time, but it was almost like being in the performing arts school all over
Mm,
again, where it feels like fame. It feels like,
mm,
it
yeah,
felt like that.
yeah,
So I don't think, at least I wasn't, I didn't have the idea of, I gotta knock this person off, or I'm gonna tell this person the audition is at 12, but it's actually at 2. Like, you know, I'm like, okay, I don't even think like that. I feel like what's yours is yours. Go get it, babe.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
what's
yeah.
mine is mine. So if there was that, I didn't know. I feel like our season was we gelled pretty well.
Was there ever a thought that okay, I mean, I'm in the top 10, that I pretty much have made it? Did you ever
No,
think, oh, okay,
it got harder the longer you stayed, the more, I will say, the competitive. Now, that was the competitive part. The 10 was probably the hardest weeks because it was anybody's ball game. I remember people were being dropped that were fan favorites,
mm,
and you just didn't know where you stood. And I personally never thought for a second, even from the moment they said you're going to Hollywood, I always prepared myself to go. I kept my bags packed.
wow,
And the girls would be like, you're not gonna, because we were staying in a mansion. And
wow,
we were in this room like Matilda. We were all the girls were in the same room, getting on each other's nerves and borrowing each other's clothes. And I just remember thinking, no, I don't want to unpack because I just don't know how long this is going to last.
wow,
So my head was in the game, but I was also prepared to be cut at any time. Um, and by the time I was cut, I was kind of ready to go as well
wow.
because it's intense, mentally,
Mm,
spiritually, emotionally. It is a roller coaster that you're not prepared for.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you've
Being in the
never
bottom
really,
two and then being
and then
picked, and
and
yeah,
then
that is,
someone leaving and you're crying on Wednesday, and then you're going out to eat Italian, right afterwards, all together saying your goodbye. I mean, it was just such an intense moment
wow.
that I cannot imagine what it would be like to be in that space while we have social media. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
if we wanted to see what people said about us, we would go www dot I
yeah,
hate
yeah,
American Idol contestants.com,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you subjected yourself to that way, which they would tell us not to do. But I can't imagine
Mm.
now being in reality, on reality TV. Oh my gosh.
How did you manage the feedback, live t sorry, sorry.
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, no,
Oh, did something happen? Uh-oh.
no, it's fine. It was I had Keith Mitchell just all of a sudden start talking about singing on key, and I didn't realize that I was saying, his interview was just being uploaded by mistake. Yeah. What was it like getting the feedback, when you sing up there, you give me a heart out, and Simon's like, that was like a cat that was being thrown off the building and stuff. Do you take that personal, or do you think, okay, I know to work on, or
The answer is twofold, because what you have to take into account is that there was what people saw, and then there was the behind the scenes. So I will say this: on camera, knowing that I am the first chocolate black woman to ever be on this show between the two seasons. I'm the first black woman who and now we got to deep dive into like what, because this is all part of the answer, but not really fully being seen behind the scenes or accepted in certain ways, and things being kind of like you're seeing certain people being treated a certain way, or hair and makeup doesn't know how to do it because you're not like the others, and they're taking less time with you and more time with the other girls and not knowing how to style your hair. And so Bird, may she rest, was our vocal coach, chocolate woman like me, who pulled me to the side and said, I'm going to get you a stylist, a hairstylist, because you deserve to look as beautiful as you are. And we had a pact that whenever they did my makeup, she would just kind of peek her head in and be like, Are you almost ready? So that she could see what they did. And then she'll say, Hey guys, we just watched her on the camera with this makeup on. Can you take that off? Can you do less of that? Can you add more of this?
Wow.
Because they were making me look either too dark, green, ghost looking,
Wow.
just it wasn't right. And so from behind the scenes, I was already feeling invisible
Wow.
and not heard, and like I was a problem for asking or for being kind of like, this hair doesn't match my grade, or can I have this instead? Or and it was always, you don't know what you're talking about, and we do this for a living. And so I learned that, number one, especially looking back at it now, I just wish that I'd had someone melanated in the hair and makeup room
Mm.
so that I could be 100% fully in myself as an artist, and I wouldn't have to worry about that part of it. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and it definitely took a toll on me mentally. And I remember I lost 12, 13 pounds that I couldn't afford. I mean, by the end, I was like, not, I was Skeletor by the end, because of the anxiety, and then having Bird to kind of speak up for me. So, coming back to your question, by the time you are being critiqued in front of the world,
Mm.
um, I just did not want to come off like I wasn't grateful
Mm.
and that I wasn't absorbing what they were saying. So I would never say anything. I would always smile, nod, and be like, Thank you. And what ended up happening from that is that Simon came back and said, I will never forget this as long as I live, because it still kind of, you know, gets under my skin, especially when I see reality show contestants now that look like me that have the same experience. He said, You know, you've gotten this far and you have a great voice, but I just feel like you're always wearing a mask. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I didn't realize that a black girl being respectful, smiling, not talking back was wearing a mask. But at the same time, I had to wear the mask, because if I didn't wear the mask, you would be saying you're being disrespectful, you're ungrateful, you're not appreciative of this moment, and we scraped you off the streets of Memphis, Tennessee, which is what they would say behind the scenes. So it just, I wanted to say so much more to him, but what I was realizing in that same moment is that I'm not representing just myself. I'm literally representing Black girls that look like me from my hometown.
Mm.
It wasn't just me standing up there, it's my parents,
Mm.
it's if my niece and nephew, I mean, they weren't even born yet, but I'm saying if they look back on that now, at least they could be proud of me.
Mm.
And to be honest, I would talk to Bird about it and I would say, this is heavy. Like, this stopped being fun weeks ago. And she understood me.
Mm.
she understood exactly what I meant by that. And she told me about some of her experiences. And she said, but you know what? You can never, unfortunately, you can never let them see you sweat. You just can't.
Mhm.
Um, and so I didn't. I smiled throughout the whole thing. And and that, but that critique burned only because I couldn't win.
Mm.
So I didn't know how to be the fun loving, funny person that was in the mansion with the girls and guys because I didn't ever feel like myself from the makeup chair. From the time I woke up, it just never felt like anything clicked for me
Yeah.
and that I was dodging different things,
Yeah.
And then I'm on set and now I got to sing. And now I'm just like, you're just and you're 21 and what do you're still learning yourself, you're still learning
Mm.
what you like, you're still learning how to have a personality without giving a damn because
Mm.
that's also part of being an artist. You have to not care,
Mm.
and show up and let people like you or not like you, which is what I took from being on that show. It's like, at this point, take me or leave me. But back then, of course we cared,
Mm.
not only for the votes but just if the other thing I thought about was what if a producer or writer or director or somebody's watching that would say, "Oh, I don't want to work with her. She's trouble. She
Mm.
talked back. She doesn't know how to take critique. She." So I'm not just thinking Simon Cowell. I was thinking the world is
Mm.
watching.
Did they see how you were in the apartment, in the mansion, your personality?
We fought to not have that recorded because they wanted to turn it into a reality show.
Okay, okay.
And we all voted no because they wouldn't have liked us anymore. We literally we were fun, outgoing, chaotic, crybabies. It was great. I'm not saying that it wasn't great, but we just knew, this is too much. Just let them see what they see, and that's it. So we voted not to have that.
Okay,
I still think
okay.
that was the best decision ever. But they saw us. They knew exactly who we were.
Is that why Simon is saying, look, we know that you're acting different than how the fun.
Not him. He was never
Okay.
in those settings. But it was also the fact that we can go a little deeper now because, it's been 20 something years. There was a time, so when you get down to the final 10,
Mm.
it's a completely different contract because now there's marketing, there is the tour,
Mm.
there's merchandising,
Mm.
all these things are added to your contract to say once you leave, the facility, once we get out of CBS lot, you're going to now be sized for your costumes. You're going to go into choreography, and we're putting you on tour, and this is what you're making, right?
Mm.
So we're all around the table, and I'm reading the contract. And mind you, my parents had been through this process before, and also I'd had a couple of little things around town where there would be some contracts involved. So I know how to read a contract at this time.
Mm.
Um, and so I'm reading the contract and I saw that they were going to have their lawyer represent us. And I was like, oh. And I literally, 21 years old, 22, and I raised my hand and I go, I have a question. I was like, it says that your lawyer is going to represent all of us. And they were like, yeah. And they just kind of like, "Psh, yeah." And I look back down, I'm like, and I'm looking at everyone else, and I'm like, I said, isn't that a conflict of interest?
Mm.
Well, that sealed my fate because how dare I know the term conflict of interest, let alone raise my hand to ask that question. And I think I saw Simon Cowell could see the money flushing down the toilet in his mouth. But at the time, I was thinking like a 22-year-old. I wasn't thinking of like this businesswoman with all, with my glasses on and going toot, toot,
Mm,
toot. I legitimately was just asking.
mm,
And they huddled, we huddled, and so we're all talking to each other. I'm like, you guys, we can't sign this contract the way that it is. And I remember another castmate was like, yeah, we need to get our own lawyer. And we were like, if we don't band together, it can't be one of us that says, I'll do it, because then they'll get rid. Even though we're down to the finals, like we need to make sure we stick together because it's the only way that this will work. Fast forward, we did. We stuck together. They gave us 24, 48 hours, something like that, to find a lawyer. We found a lawyer. Um, the lawyer came in, renegotiated the best contract ever. Like we are the highest paid season even now.
wow.
And they definitely hated me for that. I didn't know anything about what it meant to be blackballed until I didn't even know that term
Mm,
until I saw what happened after that, which was Simon kept giving me digs. Simon kept saying bad things because at first he was fine with me to a degree, I guess. And then it was, you wear a mask now, and well, why are you dressed like that? Because he couldn't really say anything about my voice, but um, yeah, and it started to be a little extra diggy and a little extra negative and cutting me out of the commercials. That remember the commercials we used to shoot, and just
mm.
all of that stuff started happening, and I went, "Oh, got it.
Was
I
that
wasn't
Simon
supposed to."
Fuller or Simon Cowell? Because Fuller would
They
own
all
this.
worked together. Simon Cowell,
Okay.
Simon Fuller, and Simon Lithgow, Nigel
Yeah, yeah,
Lithgow. They
Nigel
were
Nicole.
all, they were all together, and they were all upset. So yeah.
Wow. It's yes, yeah, being black. But then were you in the bottom two for a while, but you got saved. So there was this still a sense of, well, we still need to, they could have gotten rid of, they still didn't want you to go out, or what do you think?
I think it's TV, so they did whatever would make the ratings high. I don't think it was a personal liking of me at all. I think when I left, it was down to me and Josh, and they knew that um, most of the majority of the people watching were all about being an American and military first. And
Hmm.
so it was a great way to be like, without it looking obvious that, oh gosh, she stepped on our toes or whatever. Um, yeah, it was a good way to excuse me.
Did the others thank you after the whole lawyer stuff? Did they all say, well, thanks for what you did? The other cast, did they appreciate what you did, or were they worried, or
Once it was negotiated, we were all like, "Oh my God, yeah, yeah." But we were like a family anyway. I think one of the things that saved our season is that we were in our 20s, because right after that, I remember they started getting younger and younger. People started being younger and younger
yeah,
and younger.
yeah.
Our season, it was 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, I think.
Mm,
And then our youngest was 16, and she had a chaperone. Her mom was there a lot of the time.
mm.
But after that, it was like 16 to 18,
Yeah, let's
16
get the
to
kids.
19.
Yeah.
Because we were just smart. All of us were incredibly smart. And if it made sense, we stuck by each other, whether or not we really, really believed in it it was beyond that. It was like, okay, if one, if one says it and it makes sense to us, we have to stick to it. Same with recording the mansion, recording inside the mansion. Some
Mm.
of us were like, no, that'd be great. Well, yeah, because you already have 72 million crazy people that are following you. But if someone already dislikes you, the last thing they need to see is the girls, whining at each other over lipstick, or,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like any little thing would have changed votes. And so we were like, mm-mm. But yeah, we all we were very excited once we were on tour and was making all that money. And
Wow.
towards the end of tour is when it was released because we couldn't get it all at once. And we were all looking like, oh my God, that's insane. So we would, and then the residuals would come. So it was a very, very nice deal.
So, and we all we all know that Ruben won the little baby Luther stuff, but
Yeah.
after would you, because we used to think that once you're in the top 10 and we really think you're good, the label executives are all swooping around and saying, yeah, we've got her and stuff. Were you expecting to be called up and given a record deal?
So on tour, I didn't know what to expect because I didn't know what they had put out there about me. Like again, I didn't have the same experience as Ruben had, or that Clay had, or that even Kim had. It was like after that whole, you know, after the whole thing with the contract and then hair, makeup, I was considered a diva. I was considered somebody,
Ah.
so I wasn't sure that I would ever get any calls. However, we're on tour. We were in New Jersey, and Clive Davis came to the show.
Mm.
And in the show, I sing "I Have Nothing." We do a complete rundown of the songs that we sang on the show. So it was time for me to sing "I Have Nothing," and he came backstage and he said, "Wow, I have never heard anyone sing that song like that since Nippy." And I did not know that Nippy was
Oh,
Whitney
Whitney.
Houston's nickname at the time. That was my first time ever hearing it. And so I was like, oh, wow. I was like, who's Nippy? And he goes, Whitney Houston. He's like, and you, my dear, oh my gosh. So he's pulling me away from everybody else wanting to talk to me by myself. And here comes management. And it's like, well, she signed with us, so we'll make sure that the meeting happens. And because we
Ah.
had a 2-year
Mm.
deal outside of the show
Yeah.
with this company, and they could do whatever for the next 2 years while they have two more seasons
Yeah.
of the show. So by the time you're released, no one really cares about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think now they've cut it to 6 months or something like that. But with us, it was 2 years we were locked in. And that's when I found out that the entertainment business was very tricky.
Mm.
And it wasn't just all glitz and glamour and fame and fortune and stuff because they completely blocked that meeting. And I remember them saying, if you go to the meeting with Clive, it's going to be an issue for us because then why did we pick Ruben? Because Clive would have immediately got me in the studio and I would have immediately released a single.
Okay.
And they were still working on what to do with Ruben and what to do with Clay after
But
the show.
did they admit that they actually got Rube? They wanted him to win.
Well, this was when we were on tour, so he had already won.
Oh no, I thought you said then why would we have picked Ruben to win the show?
Yeah, that's what they're thinking is if you end up being signed to Clive Davis, the biggest music mogul in the industry, it
Yeah.
looks like we made a bad choice.
But
And I
wait,
was like,
it's the fans that voted, not unless they're admitting that they orchestrated it so Ruben wins.
what? I'm like, what is happening? And they're like, well, if he's the winner, we're supposed to be behind the winner. And I'm like, okay, well, I, but
Yeah.
so they blocked that. Um, and I never was able to get in touch with Clive again. And it once again broke my spirit. And I just kind of, I continued doing music and I continued to try and things like that. But I felt like it might be time for me to try other things. And then acting came along and I was like, oh, maybe this is another thing to do, even though I felt like, I mean, I never took an acting class and I had never been to acting school. So I kind of felt like, I don't want to be that reality show person that gets propped up, so let me at least, once I get this gig, let me at least start working with someone.
Mm,
Um, and I had met Shirley Ralph, who was incredible the whole time. And she hooked me up with agents and managers and acting coaches and all kinds of people to kind of help me out. And plus, she understood what I had gone through on the
mm,
show. So, and her advice was, don't let this make you bitter. That's the only thing. Just don't, no matter what, just don't, because she was like, I don't want you to think that this is what happened to me. Everybody has their stepping stones, and that was a stepping stone for you, and that's fine. You learned what you learned. Now you've learned how to speak up for yourself now, and you know that you're great, so just keep pushing. It's not the end. Don't let that be the last thing people say about you. And so I took that advice, and I jumped into acting as well, because I just didn't want music to be the only thing.
mm.
So yeah.
Well, you did. So after the tour, do they just say, we still manage you for another year, so we're going to find you stuff to do? Or you pretty much,
Well,
I
that's what they
mean,
said. But for a lot of us, they just let you sit on the shelf. I had some endorsements that I didn't know about until years later, when I would meet people out and about, and they said, "Oh, we were trying to get in touch with you because we loved your smile." So Crest and whoever else, Chiclets and all kinds of people were like, "Oh, we were interested in, skincare." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And they're like, I said, "Well, what were you told?" And they were like, "Oh, your calendar was booked." It's like, okay.
wow. Was that just you
Um,
though? Because what about any of the others?
no, no, I don't think it was just me. I think
Okay.
even if you asked other people, other contestants from other seasons, I think we've all had a very similar story. I mean, variations, obviously, but very similar stories.
So I would take it that if Ruben wins and they say, okay, we will take some of the other popular ones, they if they have too many people shining out, it might distract. So they just say, let's just bury you while we
I
can
just
just
think that, yeah, I think that was a cop out though, because my thing was, wouldn't you want the world to see, kind of like, remember Star Search? 80% of the people from Star Search, whether you won or lost, are now the people we watch on television.
yeah,
Um, so I didn't quite understand the logic, if that was the logic. I don't want to put words in their mouth.
right.
But it felt like suppression,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because people are coming up to me and saying, "Oh, your calendar was full, blah, blah, blah." It felt like suppression. And then that one thing, well if you get signed, it was just that one thing of like, if you get signed with Clive, then it would seem like, we don't know what we're doing with the winner. And I was just like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Whoever is successful from American Idol is a representation of American Idol. I would be saying their name for the rest of my life if that's where I started,
yeah,
which I
yeah,
still do. And it wasn't, and I didn't win. So if I got something amazing out of it, then who cares where it,
yeah.
what happened after that?
I think they probably Clive is that powerful that he could do what he wanted, but I think they were able to make it difficult, where it's like too many, it's too complicated. Where um, because I think they had to deal with Interscope. Was it Interscope?
Yeah, I
Ruben
think it was. I'm not sure.
Universal. So if they
A lot of
went,
them had folded. It was only the key six, because by that
yeah,
time, oh my gosh, so many things had happened. LimeWire had happened.
yeah,
Leaking music had happened. I
yeah.
mean, it was. I
Oh, I
remember the
love my wire.
chaos,
Yeah,
because
Napster.
oh my, Napster, it had
Yeah,
all affected the industry so badly. And I
yeah,
remember thinking, wow, why is this the year that I'm,
yeah,
on this show? Because what's going to happen to the industry? So we were all on eggshells about
yeah,
that. And they
yeah,
didn't quite know what to do with Ruben yet. They didn't know what style of music. They didn't know
yeah,
whether they, even though it was a no-brainer, just put out a Luther album, but they weren't they were trying to make him into something else. And so
Yeah.
if the longer they took, I could have been in the studio with Clive. And I think that's what they were saying. Not
Yeah.
that the voters hadn't voted for him, but
Mm.
that if she released something before him, she could take off and be bigger, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
before we even have a chance to figure this out. And
Yeah.
it rocked them a little bit, and they didn't want that.
Yeah.
It's business. It was
Yeah.
all business.
Yeah.
I understood.
It's a horrible thing. Did you go back to Memphis then?
Absolutely only to see family.
Oh wow.
No, I moved to LA. I was serious. That was what I wanted to do with my life. I knew it was, and I just needed a crack in the door this small, and I would kick the rest in. By the time I came off of tour, I was even more convinced that that
Mm.
was what I wanted. You know, I had tasted what it felt like to perform in front of an audience and to use my gift on such a huge platform. And I wanted to do everything I possibly could to keep going. And
Mm.
also at that time to prove Simon wrong.
Mm.
Because I felt like I kind of got cheated. So of course I was like, I'm gonna move to LA and just watch. I'm gonna, feisty and just kind of like, yeah, I didn't do anything to not deserve the next step or to not deserve anything great out of it. So it was the catalyst for me to continue pushing for myself. And I did. And I met some wonderful people along the way. And then I started acting. And so yeah, and then made friendships that have lasted all this time, and because it's who you know as well as
Mm.
what you're doing and what gift you have. It's people saying, "Oh my God, you're," and then they started forgetting what was said or what was written or what was, then people just show up. And that was the other thing that Miss Shirley Ralph was saying. She was like, no, you show up as you give people you, and it
Mm.
won't matter what was written. It won't matter who said what. You do you. And so that was kind of what I decided to do, and it worked. Because after a while, no one remembered what Simon said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess that's the thing about the industry of when it's egos, it can truly break people. Um, and I guess did you ever start to chase getting a record deal, or did you chase making a career in entertainment? What did you decide to focus your energy in?
So Babyface had a studio on
Brander's Way?
Cahuenga for a very long time, on Cahuenga in Los Angeles for a very long time. And so I was cutting records there.
Was that the Edmund
Um,
Tower?
yeah, Edmond Tower. And that's where I
I
met everybody. I remember Chris Brown being little with a backpack and just running around the studio.
I worked
Um,
there for about 6 months.
did you really? What
Yeah.
year?
So that was in 2002. So at
Oh,
that point, they had a group called Third Story.
yes.
Yeah, I was working on that project.
Stop it. So were you there when Jason Edmonds was there? He
um,
had a he had a studio on that floor. That's who I was working with, Jason Edmonds.
no, Mark Burrows was the GM for the label. It was Edmunds
Yeah.
Entertainment I was working for,
Yeah. Okay.
and A Marie was the general manager had A Marie signed. So I didn't go up to Brandon's Way, but because I was in working for Edmunds, but working on Third Story, and
Wow.
during that time, yeah,
Wow, look at that. We barely, I mean, we were like this.
yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah, I was up there for a couple of years, and switching management and trying to figure out what worked there. And I think one of the things I learned, I just did an interview about this as well, is is not one of the things I talked about was not having friends stand in the gap of manager,
Mm,
agent, PR, that sort of thing. a lot of us were just starting out and trying to figure it out. And I think by the time I moved to LA, I should have gone a little bit higher up in who was managing me and who was, whatever, whatever. But
You
I
talking
was
about
loyal
William
to
Morris,
who?
CAA?
Well, we were signed to CAA and they just kept us on the roster until the 2 years was up and then they just kind of kicked you off. So
Okay.
it would have been nice to stay with CAA. And then they had some things turn over. And of course, the music industry changed and then the
Hmm.
labels folded and then it just was the top three. And
Mm.
so things were a little
Yeah, yeah,
not so great, but I tried a lot. And then once the music industry started folding and the labels were shutting down, that's when I
mm,
was like, I need to make sure I've got my irons and some more fires and
yeah,
let me get an agent and start acting or doing commercials or something,
yeah.
anything. And then theater came along.
Okay. Was that something, was that an easier transition? I know you can sing in there, but what about live performance?
It was, I feel like I'm so glad that I took that route. Number one, there is nothing. And when I say nothing like theater, there is,
You close your eyes as you're dreaming and remembering the joys of being in the theater.
because if you are the type of person that needs everything perfect,
Yeah.
good luck because theater forces you out of your bubble. It
Yeah,
forces you to confront yourself. It forces you to not care. It forces you to improv if something goes wrong, if a prop isn't there, or if somebody drops a line. It is never the same show twice.
yeah,
You're never the same person twice. The way you deliver lines should always be in response to what is said to you and not just robotic because
mm,
I just feel like if you can do theater, you can do anything.
wow.
And
Okay.
it's that instant gratification. And it's also the best way to grow up.
Mm.
You are around people that take this so seriously. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what are capizios? I'm just
What are
literally like,
what's the confusion?
capizios are the brand that is for the tights and shoes that are worn and
Okay,
all of
okay.
so I didn't know any of those things and so I'm just again I'm like wow I just have such a huge respect for everybody with and they're like where are your heels and I'm like oh we're supposed to be oh we're wearing heels oh my bad you just you're all over the place but once you figure it out and you respect the craft.
Mm,
Whenever someone says they did theater and then they went to TV film, I'm like, you can tell.
mm.
Viola,
Yeah,
Denzel, Sterling,
yeah,
Kay
yeah,
Brown. You see it in everything that they do. Cheryl Lee Ralph, you see it in
yeah.
everything that they do. There's a posture.
Well, I can hear how you're now stating words and you're not being dramatic, but really
I am being
invoking.
dramatic. You can say it.
No, but in a good way. It I can
Yeah.
the way you're explaining things, but being almost but being careful, not trying to shade anyone, but just putting everything in context. So it seems as if there's a thinking around what you're trying to say, and how you're expressing it, and which is engaging as well. Because I would assume you've got to engage people watching you right there and then.
Oh, yes. And hitting the back of the house, which was one of the things that the director was saying, is like, you can sing your face off all day, but if you're not hitting the person in the last row,
Mm,
you can give it up. And it's not something that you're thinking of when you just grow up singing randomly or in a club or,
mm,
around town with your parents present versus in a choir versus on a TV show where the
Mm.
audience, there might be 200 people there, but there's an audience on that screen through that lens as
Yeah.
well that some people were aware of and some people are not aware of. You know,
Mm.
by the time you get to theater and all the things click, you're like, that's why I had to go through that. That's why I needed to let go. That's why it just started to make so much sense.
Mm.
And I had grown um, as an artist, as an individual. Was more standing in my power more, knew who I
Mm.
was more. I mean, it was just, and you have something to give.
Mm.
You're not mousy and going, is everyone looking at me? You're like, here I am. It's yeah, theater forces you to take all the scars and put them on display, whatever they may be.
Then if we get to the point where you get the opportunity to come to the UK, how did that get presented to you?
That's a very good question. Goodness gracious, I had been on so many auditions, and then I don't remember. Um, oh, I think a manager at the time knew the director of Thriller Live, which was the show that I was in.
Okay.
And so got there, and the irony of that is the choreographer from the American Idol tour was the director of Thriller Live. I mean, was the choreographer of Thriller Live. And I went, Gary? And he was like, Trenyce. And we just embraced and was like, oh my God. Like we couldn't believe that we were in the same setting. So it was a beautiful full circle moment. Um, but yeah, I want to say that the manager knew Adrian, and that was,
Oh, so
it was only supposed to be a 6 month contract. It turned into 7 years.
what did you play? Who did you play then in Thrill? Who do you play
I
in Thrill?
was, did you ever see Thriller Live?
No, 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 no. I've only
Okay,
been to
so if,
see the Red Lion
okay,
King.
so,
Sorry.
oh, well, oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
In
Okay.
Thriller, there's three guys that play Michael Jackson, and then there's
Okay.
a woman that plays Michael Jackson slash a Janet Jackson type.
Michael
And so
Jackson, Janet?
yes, because you're singing all of Michael's music, but they don't have you dressed like Michael because you're a woman. So they have you
Okay.
kind of, they have you being the Janet of the four.
Okay.
So it's three guys and me, and then you're like, I'm like the Janet Jackson of, but we're singing Michael Jackson's catalog.
Okay. Okay. But at no point you're singing Rhythm Nation or
No, no,
anything.
no, none of Janet's stuff, all Michael's stuff. But like, let's say, for instance, I sang The Way You Make Me Feel, but I sang it from the perspective of the girl. You
Okay.
get what I'm saying? So there's a bunch
Okay.
of Michael Jacksons with the blue shirts and the rope and the black pants,
Yeah.
and then I have on the black dress, but I'm singing The Way You Make Me Feel.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Um, it does sound confusing now that I have to explain it, but it was actually a great concert style show that, especially after he passed away, it became a huge asset to the MJ fans.
Mm.
And we also toured. So I would be on West End half the time. And then, there was also the tour. And so I would flip back and forth for all that time.
And then how did you decide, okay, that's enough?
God told me.
Okay.
So I came back. I had done the 4 years, and then or five. I'd done 5 years, and then I went to because I'd gotten burnt out doing 8 shows a week,
Yeah,
this
goodness.
show, and I was like, I need to push myself to do something else. I'm feeling a little lazy,
A
and
little
so
lazy, 8 shows a week. Okay. My goodness.
I needed to push
You
myself.
thought
And
your
so I,
grandparents were suffering under the slave masters. You think eight,
right. 8
eight.
shows a week, it's not enough. Um, but I auditioned for this show in China with Franco Dragone, who is like he was the, what would you call him? I forget what his title was now, but he was over a lot of the Cirque shows.
A lot of the
And
what
he put
shows?
the Cirque du Soleil.
Oh,
He
circus.
put
Yeah, yeah,
together
yeah,
all
yeah.
of the Cirque shows, and so he
Yeah.
was doing this show this for the first time in China, and he needed one singer, and then he would have 12 dancers, and he was going to build a show around the singer, me.
Okay.
So I went and did that for a year, and a really important person in my life that I would call dad, he became ill, and it made me come back to Memphis for a while, and I took care of him until he passed away. And then after he passed, I was like, yeah, I got to get back to work and do something. And so I went back to London for 2 years.
Okay.
But I said God because nothing was wrong with that second go round. Like when I went back to London, I have, of course, had better pay, better apartment, better everything. Everything was great. And then I remember I woke up one morning and God was like, "You're not done with LA." That was what was, it just popped in my head. "You're not done with LA. It's time to go." And I went, "Squeeze me?" Like, wait a minute now. And I think I gave it 3 weeks. And then I put in my notice and I was like, yeah, I think this is the end of the road for me.
Wow.
And they weren't ready for me to go. And I really wasn't ready to go, but I knew if I didn't move the same way I made the decision to do American Idol and theater and everything, it was always like a little, it's time. It's time. Do it now. And so I got pushed and I went, I gotta do it now. There's more that needs to be done in LA. And I left.
Wow. So what year was that you moved back to LA?
Uh 2017.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whenever
So
Brexit started to be
yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. So, but it was
it
before COVID, so you left before COVID.
was before COVID, but that's what made it a little crazy because then when I came back, COVID happened and it just, and I remember thinking, did I make the wrong decision? Should I have still been over? Like it was, everybody was a little or going through something at that time because no one's job was secure anymore. And especially if you're in entertainment, it just felt like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do?
Hmm.
But yeah, so I came back in 2017, top of 2017.
What did you start to do when you got back?
So I jumped back into, well, I started doing soundtracks. I started doing movies, auditioning for movies, booking films. I Before I left London, I forgot to say this. Before I left London, I had an exceptional agent, Femi Ogans, who
Nigerian?
is, yeah.
Mm. Funny.
And he had just started his agency. Um, and he was, to this day, the best agent I ever had in my life because he believed in God, believed in his family, put all of that first. He had his own, he had IAG agency
Mm.
and the acting studio. So that meant he could focus on you being an actor because it
Mm.
wasn't like, if you don't book, I don't get paid. It was like, let's see why you're not booking or let's make sure you book, you
Mm.
know? So I had a meeting with him. It was amazing. He was the best to this day. I haven't found anyone be that interested in
Mm.
making sure I book something. So the first thing I ever booked was a Marvel film,
Oh, which one?
Kick Ass 2, with with
Oh, Vaughn something was it?
oh my gosh, I perimenopause. You have to understand. The thoughts come and the thoughts go. Uh,
Okay, you can. Okay, so
Jim
okay.
Carrey, Jim Carrey.
Jim
Jim Carrey
Carrey.
was in that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Wow.
Chloe Moretz. I played the gym teacher to Chloe Moretz. She was trying to be normal and all of
Mm,
that, and so she was on the squad, my squad, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
okay. Did that open better doors or did COVID slow it down? What's after the movie?
You know what's interesting is, so I got a chance to meet Jim Carrey because he put together this incredible rap party for everyone, and he went around and talked to every single crew member, every person for 15 minutes each. I just love when the people that you've admired your whole entire life show
Mm,
up in such a beautiful way like that, such and be human, and
I heard about it,
he-
yeah.
he's awesome. And so I got a chance to talk to him and I said, "Oh, I've always been a fan." And, we did karaoke and I was like smacking his butt during karaoke and we're singing together. But after that happened, I decided, you know what? Yeah, I should do more TV film. If I can hit this the first time, I probably
Mm,
won't get another Marvel film. That's probably luck. But at least I'm going in the right direction.
mm,
And so during COVID, I booked three Lifetime movies, uh, did a bunch of soundtracks, did soundtracks for The Boys, the TV show The Boys, um,
okay.
did a lot of singing that was studio stuff so that, you could still have that distance between you.
Mm,
And it just so happened to be things that were heavy residuals as well. So that kept me afloat
mm,
for all that time. And then I tapped into giving back, which was becoming an acting and singing coach because now I'm at home and I can build a website and start reaching out to students and things like that.
mm,
And I didn't know that I would ever get to a place where I wanted to teach anybody anything.
mm,
Um, but it was perfect. It was the perfect time to get back into acting class, which I did, teach, and then sing in studios and do soundtracks and stuff like that. It was kind of perfect timing in a way
mm.
because
And
those
then
other doors probably wouldn't have opened.
and then how did you then get to this concept of your own show, as you said you have?
So within the theater work that I've done, because Thriller wasn't the only thing, within that long timeline of from American Idol to Thriller, there was also I did Ain't Misbehaving with Ruben and Frenchie, who was also from my season. Well, and I did Dreamgirls a couple of times. I started doing, theater and there's still, oh, and I did Motown the musical. I played
Oh,
Diana Ross in Motown the musical, which brings
really?
us to meeting Mr. Barry Gordy.
Oh, wow.
Um, so working with him kind of made me, because I had had Dueling Divas in my head from 2010. So from the time I got to London, I was thinking, well, everybody keeps calling me Diana Ross, saying I look like her or whatever. And then everyone keeps also calling me Little Whitney. So let me just put a show together. And it was just in my mind, I should put a show together. And then
Mm,
I started writing it out. I was like, I should put a show together. And then I put it away. And then COVID happened and I brought it back out again. And I went, yeah, I'm going to do it because Mr. Barry Gordy, when he pulled me to the side to talk about playing Diana and everything, I always kind of felt like, well, anybody could sing Diana's music because she has such a light voice. But what I
mm,
didn't realize was her tone, her range is much higher than you
mm.
think it is. But because she's just so poised and you don't realize, oh my God, girl. Like, not to call her girl, but ma'am, queen, you have range.
Mm.
And I always wanted to dedicate a show to Whitney, but I included Diana because I felt like her music was underappreciated.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that she had not won a Grammy before. I didn't
Mm.
realize that she was an exceptional actress and had
Mm.
never won an Oscar. And so I wanted to pay homage to her, the two ladies in my life that have always been a part of my career in one show, and tell people pretty much the things that I didn't know about them and tie them into my life. So that's how the Diana Whitney show came about.
So, what is it? Is it you don't
It's
just get
all
up? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's well, the show is it's me and an orchestra. And so there's I start with Diana Ross because she's the blueprint. She's the first black pop star. She's the first black artist that was appreciated by everyone globally and not
Mm.
just black people. So I pay homage to her first, and I talk about her being, an actress and doing Mahogany, and then I go into do you know where you're going to? So everything kind of ties in. I tell my story about going to college. My mom saying I'll give you a year. I did American Idol. Da, 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 da. Like it goes in order,
Uh-huh.
and it's an hour-long show. And the point is for people to feel like they've gone to both women's concert that night. Like they paid a lot of money to go and see them being, performed.
Okay.
So yeah,
Uh,
it's
y-
great.
you said
It's my
you want them
baby.
to feel like they paid a lot of money, or they paid money for a great show. It feels.
They paid money for the show, but I'm saying I want them to feel like, because if you got a Whitney Houston ticket or if you buy a ticket for Diana Ross, to be in the front row, you're going to spend a pretty penny,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're not spending that to come see me. I mean, I wish I had their bank account, but it should feel like you've been to see both of those women. And a lot of
Mm,
people would say, how? Because they're not anything alike. But the essence of them, I feel, always shows up in my performance.
mm,
Um, Once I'm done with Diana, you're like, oh my God, yeah, that song or whatever. And then you go into Whitney, and I end it with I Will Always Love You, which is huge for the audience.
mm,
And then you have people coming up and saying one or the other has inspired them in some way, depending on the age group. So it
mm.
just, yeah, it's a beautiful way for me to say thank you to the both of them.
Do you sing She Gives Me Love? More love than I ever need. He's all I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
All the
sorry.
men,
I
all the
of
men
all
I
the man
need.
that I need,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I love that
No, I
song.
don't. You know
Okay.
what I realized? So at the end of my show now, before I sing I Will Always Love You, I always shout out, hi, hey, was there any song that you feel like you thought you were going to hear tonight? And sometimes they will. So I'll sing a little bit of a song.
Okay.
So what I've gotten recently has been um, there's been I Have Nothing. No one has said All the Man I Need yet.
Oh.
I'll get Run to You. I got Run to You recently.
Hmm.
I've gotten I Believe the Children Are Our Future. I've
Okay.
got just so I'll give them a little taste of verse and a chorus of whatever, just so that they know, oh no, this isn't AI. I'm standing here singing my face off.
My name is not Susan. So,
Ah, I always tell people Miracle is one of the songs that's so underrated by
oh, the one
Whitney.
with
Do you know that?
Mariah,
No, not that one. Miracle, the one that's on the same as
Preacher's Wife, the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. No.
she's on the motorcycle. The same as that one.
Oh, that
Miracle is
album.
on that. So it
Okay.
goes it goes Seems as though nothing will comfort me. Lord, let's today I pray that you would come listen, for nothing should matter. Now when love grows inside you, the choice is yours. There's a miracle in store. You don't remember that song?
I was so enamored by your singing and I forgot what I was trying to
Ah!
listen out to. I was like, okay.
Miracle. If you don't remember it, it is such a beautiful. I mean, Whitney had some incredible writers,
Mm,
incredible writers that you can sing that stuff now and just go, it just takes your breath away. Mm.
yeah. But how do you because she has such a Greek tragedy of a story and of a life.
Mhm.
Where I remember when she was, I think AT&T did this advert, The
I
Voice.
know what you're feeling, though we're far apart. I hear you in my heart. You know the way to make this heart rejoice. You always do. I can count on you, your true voice. I used to love, matter of fact, when people would say, sing Little Whitney, that's one of the things I would sing.
Wow.
Just let me hear loud and clear the real you. That, that, that,
Oh, goodness.
that would, uh, yeah. I miss her so much. Jeez.
But you don't go into the tragedy or the anything. You just okay.
No, I don't want anyone to walk away feeling sad or down. It's really a celebration. And because I end with her too, it's like,
Mm.
you know, yeah, it's just a beautiful homage to her. And of course, Diana is still with us, and so it's much easier because she's still touring as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
for
yeah,
her,
yeah.
it's people from that generation that get to say, "Oh my God, yes," and then they talk to their kids about it if they're with
Mm.
them. And so that it's the perfect piece of the puzzle of my life that just kind of makes sense to how I got here, as a
Mm.
singer.
Do you have to change when you're singing both of them?
So I used to change in the beginning and now I don't, and I want to go back to changing, but it's not, I stopped changing, not because I didn't want to, but it's just, I want to find the right look for the both of them. And so far it's been a little hard because I'm constantly on the road.
Oh,
So
oh, what
I
do you
am
mean?
booked through 2026. And so I
Oh,
am
so, oh,
on
you
like
don't have a venue. It's like you're touring with your band.
I'm in Europe a lot. I travel a lot in Europe. I do Canada as well and Hawaii and Alaska. I'm going to Alaska tomorrow for a month and performing there. So
What?
it's yeah. So I've been doing this now for 3 years.
Wow. This is your
This is
own
my bread.
show.
Mhm.
Wow.
And so
How,
there's some land gigs, and so it's like, and then there's yeah. Wherever I can perform it, I perform it.
does your band travel with you?
No, it's a different band each time, depending on where I'm at. That's the only little thing where you're like, oh, but they read well. So it's not like, you have the charts there to give them. So yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Do you have a music director a conductor that goes around with you?
Not with me. They're there. So there's an MD there and all of that. So yeah, it's great. It's
Oh,
great.
goodness, that's wow. I didn't wow. So where are you going to be over the next couple of months then?
Um, I try not to look too far ahead because because I will get all scrambled and get anxious about, oh my gosh, I got to pack for this and this and this. So I try to
Wow.
stay where I'm, right now.
Okay, yeah.
Cold. I'm going to Alaska for a month. Then I hope I shoot a film. We're still crossing our fingers on that. And then I think I'm going to shoot a movie. And then after that, oh, I don't know. It might be Hawaii. It might be, I don't know.
Wow, Alaska. I mean, goodness, the Eskimos like to say music or something.
Everyone, this is the other reason why I picked those two divas. Everyone loves them.
Okay.
It is not a matter of who is that. It's never a matter of
Mm,
that. They are the most popular Black women, probably, I mean, globally, not just amongst us and
mm.
globally. So there's always work. There's always someone going, oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow, goodness.
Yeah, it's my baby.
Wow, man, I mean, when you think about where you started, you think about the American Idol journey, and just to find out that you're now in control of your own career like this, it must be satisfying.
It's liberating because number one, when the music industry folded, I'm not going to lie, I was a little depressed because I didn't know what was about to happen
He
to
said a
my life.
little. Yeah, it was hard. It was.
Right? Because I planned my whole life around music. And
Mm,
so my identity was that, and I
mm,
couldn't see myself without it. I was like, wait, the whole point of all of this was to get signed.
yeah.
But sometimes the best thing is not getting what you want, because then I would have never opened myself up as an actress. I would have never let my guard down enough
Mm,
to be this being that is teaching other people how to
mm.
let their guard down and see the passion within and let it out, and just I wouldn't have done any of the things I've done since then. So not having a record deal and also not having a lot of those experiences saved my life.
So I'm still on your publishing.
All just any of it.
Yeah.
I have to be honest, because I was so wrapped up in what it meant to be an artist. I'm not sure I would have survived any of that stuff. I'm not sure I would still be sitting here with you. I'm not sure, because it was my blood. It was in my blood. It was my if every part of my nerve endings would stand up to talk about music, to be in the studio, to work with producers, to it was I was obsessed. So
Yeah.
it's probably a good thing. And I think it was God's protection. Like I said, I think he's always been there. I think it was his protection not having me go through those traumas. American Idol was enough.
Yeah, you said
I
that's enough. That is a minefield to hear what you experienced as psychological warfare. And they didn't even give you guys therapists.
No, I had to get one after that. You'd be surprised how many have gone to therapy since then, because we've all different seasons. We'll all meet each other, and we usually
Wow.
are very nice to each other and exchange stories. And we all pretty much have had therapy.
Wow.
It's a lot.
In
It's
fact,
a lot.
that was one of
But
the
it prepares you. It
yeah.
prepares you for what the industry is. This is what it is. It doesn't change. It's not going to change because you're so nice and sweet and humble and cute and no,
Yeah.
you know.
And that's part of the thing I wanted to always keep promoting, that as Black people, we are less likely to walk into a therapy room than every other race. It's almost as if now I'll go to church and I'll pray about it and talk to my neighbor, but no, the power of getting somebody who's actually trained to help you dissect these issues.
Yeah, and
Can-
and also you can do both.
mm,
It's fine to do both. It's okay to pray about it, but also speak to someone about it, and get a clear understanding that you're not you're not putting your life in the therapist's hands. What you're doing is you are asking another person who does not know you,
mm,
um, am I weird for this? Am I wrong for this? Should I aim higher? Am I doing enough? Should I walk
mm,
away? And they're never going to tell you yes, no, but it is in the digging
mm,
of you that allows you to get there on your own. Um, and pastors, a lot of the time, churches are too singular in their thinking.
yeah.
They're going to tell you one way and that's it.
Yeah, yeah,
And that could destroy you, if I'm being completely honest.
yeah,
I've seen a lot of people have to walk away from certain churches or certain pastors or certain situations within the church because it kept them in something that they shouldn't have been in, or it kept them thinking something about themselves that they shouldn't have been thinking, or whatever the case may
yeah,
be. It's nice to it's like separating church and state. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's nice to have a human being that you can go, okay, and break it down and not be afraid. Because you
yeah,
also don't want to tell your pastor certain things about
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
you
Did,
know.
did you ever feel be stigmatized when you did go therapy? Did you hide it from people to?
By the time I went to therapy, I needed it so bad I didn't care what anybody thought. I for me, therapy was a make or break.
Mm,
I had been through a lot within the family, within the career, being Black, being a chocolate woman, just so
chocolate.
many things. Just it's just too many things that came all at once. And I finally, I remember remember I told you I went to China, and then
Mm,
my dad died, and then I not my biological, but the man that I
mm,
call my dad. My dad died, and I took care of him. That
mm,
death makes you, it changes you.
yeah.
Um, and because I was his nurse,
Mm,
I got a chance to be a nurse. Because I was his nurse in his final month, it changed how I saw myself. It changed how I saw death. It changed how I looked at life. And I was like, I called a therapist right then, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm at the end of my rope. I gotta come in.
mm,
And so she was like, what does that look like? And I explained it. And yeah, from there, it was just like, oh my gosh, I really needed this.
mm.
I really desperately needed this. And it was the best thing ever. I always advocate for therapy, which means you're really advocating for yourself, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Well, that's my nine to
self-care.
five. So it's but
Wow.
we still struggle with black families and kids. It's like, the threshold for therapy is too high. It's like unless you're screaming down the road, there's nothing wrong with you. And so, yeah, there's a lot of barriers we still have to break down.
And also, I think that a lot of families don't want to be exposed and don't want to be judged. So it's like if a child is coming in and saying, for instance, well, I don't like how my dad talks to me or how my mom says, makes me
Mm,
feel, then it is the idea that now they're bad parents.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and no one wants to be discovered.
yeah,
Uh, we are in the world, Black people I know especially are in the world of, we don't talk about that outside the house.
yeah, yeah,
Don't be
yeah.
telling nobody my business,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm one of very few black men that's in as a therapist, and so um, not many men will come in to therapy room because the majority of therapists are women, and there's that
Yeah,
sense. So yeah, we need to get more men involved in listening and hearing and in the therapy chair as well
I agree.
as yes. Okay.
100%. You
Now,
you hear that, men?
yes, yes,
He said
guys.
sign up on the
Yes.
website. No, I'm just
Because they all want to talk about football and sport and movies, and I'm like, let's talk about life.
how
How you
many
do?
how many men do you have on your roster? Do you have a lot or is it
No, so I'm in a new team that has about 120 people, therapists, and there's three of us that are black men. But but in the team I was before, I think I was out of 200, I was the only black male therapist. And
And your
then
patients, how many are
oh,
men?
patients, oh goodness. I would say that if I had a caseload of 20, maybe I'd have one guy. And I've had to do some outreach. I've had to really go out and talk about
Wow.
my own experience coming from with no Nigerian parents who came to the UK during the Civil War and some of the challenges they faced and the reasons why they don't advocate for therapy. And so when I break it down as to what
Mhm.
barriers our parents have, it's a lot of them are a lot more feel comfortable coming forward and saying, okay, can you give me a hand? Can you help out? But yeah, it is trying to explain that um, it is not about exposing, but it's about getting somebody who's just going to see you and listen to you and help you make sense of things and not
Yes.
judging. Because believe it or not, black men are four times more likely to get sectioned under the Mental Health Act and get detained for mental
Oh,
health crisis than white men.
really?
But black children are less, less than 10% of our services would have black children coming forward for help. But when they become adults and they become at breaking point, they're more likely to get sectioned and detained in a mental health institution because they've
Wow.
not learned to process and deal with things. And when they break down, like Wendy Williams or Mariah Carey, when she had her breakdown, it's like you've not had the outlet when you're younger. So when you get older, they've got to look that will detain you as adults.
Mhm.
So that's why there's a lot more work for me as to work with kids to try and break that cycle.
Well, that was the other thing about being in the industry is that, something that I had to learn from American Idol. And I think I was still in that phase of like not wanting to hurt anyone. So then you just helped me go back to the whole when Simon said I was wearing a mask thing, because there were certain things if they asked me, hey, do you want to talk about your family, for instance? No, no, I don't. I didn't see the point of bringing, but for them, they needed a storyline. But for me,
Mm,
I didn't want to include anyone else in whatever because it would have who knows, it could
mm,
have opened the floodgates to people in my family that had no intentions of being famous, did never, never wanted their names mentioned. I just always felt like I needed to protect
mm.
what was there. And then when I say all this to my therapist, she was like, "That's a lot for 22." I mean, do you realize like how long you've been carrying and carrying? And
Mm.
I said, I didn't, because it's so easy to just slip into that when you are a black person,
Yeah,
even as a child, you just, well, can't do that because mom and dad, or I
yeah,
got to represent mom and dad. And then,
yeah.
and you forget your feelings, and then my parents got divorced. So it was always that, don't want to upset mom, but don't want to upset dad. Don't want
Yeah.
to, you're just constantly looking for a sense of self, and you never ever find it until you can step away and not have anyone else controlling the narrative, because for so
Mm.
long we let our parents control our narrative even as adults.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I have young kids that I work with, 16, and they're struggling. But I said, have you spoken to your parents? No, my parents have got their own burdens, so I need to protect them.
Yeah.
So I'm dying inside, and my parents don't know because I don't want them to be to hurt more. And
Isn't that
so, yeah,
insane? But it's true. Wow.
yeah. So
Are
it's
those boys?
no, those will be both sides, mainly
Okay.
girls, mainly girls. Boys. I mean, getting them to talk, it's a battle. Getting them to talk, getting them to get emotional and connect. Um, but yeah, it is something that, as I said, I do this. I like to hear people talk about their weakness so that it's like people can realize that it's not, it's okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's
know,
not uncommon
yeah, it's
at
okay not
all.
to be okay. And but it is still, that sense of being a macho and men don't cry. Those are things that barriers that we're definitely trying to break down. But it is step by step. Um,
Mhm.
so I know you've gone on your trip. I always wondered about your name.
Trinice.
It's I know we've heard about Americans with their Lakeisha and there's like get three names together and just form one. How did Trenyce come about?
So, anyone that knows me at this part of the interview is going to laugh or they're going to cringe and be like, what is she going to say? Because Trinice is my middle name,
Okay.
and I have one of those names that you're talking about as a first name that I'm sure you've researched. Um, and I'm still dealing with what that name means to me because I don't like my name. I never have.
Wow.
Never have. And I made my mom cry once. I was younger and I said, why didn't you think about what a name means? Because when I talk to such and such friend, they tell me their name means, you know, um, strong one or sunshine or whatever. And I remember my mom saying, "Oh, I just thought it was a beautiful name." And the look on her face, I was like, "Oh, I don't ever want her to feel like that again." So I never brought it
Mm.
back up. But I have never, and this was another thing I think I had to tell my therapist. I need to find peace with my name because I don't have it. Trinice, it's digestible, but it sounds fine as for what I do. But I only let people call me Sean. A lot of people call me Sean from home, but it's still a shortened version of what my name is.
Mm.
So I need to come to some sort of, um, I don't know, understanding within myself of that my name has no meaning. Number one, that it was popular. It was, you know, if you break it down, Sean means something, but that's not the full name. And then never being able to find the little keychain with your name. It's just little stuff growing up. I'm like, Mom, really? You couldn't name me, you know, I don't know, Tanya, just anything, anything. Um, so it because as you get older, you're like, what's in a name? A name is everything. And it just kind of burdened me that you know it didn't mean anything. And Sean means to move something away or to repel, and I was like, really? So here I am again. So Trinice, I don't know what Trinice means. Probably means nothing again, but it is what I prefer to be called. And when anyone even tries to say my first name that does not know me from the beginning of time, I get offended.
Mm.
So every single time, and I pointed this out to my friends when we're on the road and stuff, whenever someone takes my passport without fail, they will look at me, they'll look at me, and they'll look at the passport and look at me, look at the passport, and and I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. You're right. I don't even let them say it. You're right. It's fine. And they'll
Okay.
go, because they're trying to pronounce, and I'm like, why? You didn't ask John. You didn't ask Tamara. You let Bill go through just fine.
But I didn't even know that you had a second. I thought Denise was your first. I didn't even know. So what I was joking about is like Denise isn't it wasn't like a name that it's common and I was dead joking around like a lot of Black Americans have those like LaShonda and like LaKeisha and all those type of names together. So not.
That's pretty much that's my name, the first one with an RA. And I don't say it. It just it
Yeah.
doesn't feel it never has felt like me. I will say it when and I cannot tell you
Hmm.
how there's a little maybe you can help me with that. I don't know how there's a little fire behind my neck when someone says um I'm trying to think of an instance where you have to say your first and last name, and they're
Hmm.
like, um, and your name? And I'll go, Cobbins. I'm still giving you the last name. And they're like, I'm like, that's the last name. They go, oh. And then they'll try to pronounce my first name. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's it.
I was yes, okay, I had to go to A&E on Monday because I thought I'd broken my wrist and stuff. And I was sitting with
Oh,
a nurse and he was Indian. And we were talking about names. And he asked me the names of my kids, and my oldest is Edward, my middle girl is Emily, and my youngest is Andrew. And he says, "Oh, well, beautiful names." And I'm like, because and I was born in the UK, and my dad named me Namdi, which um, in our tradition, it means my father has returned. Now, he gave me that name because um, when my grandfather passed away, probably in the late 60s, the oracle says he's going to reincarnate in one of his
the
grandsons.
kids. Oh,
And at the time, yeah, they were all jumping for joy that, okay, the oracle says it's me. Now then, when my dad became a Christian, it was like, oh goodness, what have we done? We've condemned you we've condemned you to the forefathers and all that stuff. So
oh,
it became like a sort of little battle afterwards. But when I grew up in Liverpool, I used my middle name, which was Sonny, which is Sonny. So that was my dad's middle name. So all my friends growing up was Sonny because it was easy to pronounce and everything.
hmm.
We moved to Nigeria when I was in high school, at a boarding school, and they made fun of Sonny. And so I went to use Namdi because, okay, that's a Nigerian name. So it's
Yeah, I'm back in the clique.
yes. But when I moved to the States at 18 to go to college, it was I just got used to using Namdi and I continued using it and actually wasn't too bad. People didn't, I used to say it's like it's Andy with an N and stuff. And people in the States didn't mind, didn't have issues calling and pronouncing my name. It was only when I moved back to the UK where there was a sense of your name would already destroy your chance of getting a job. They just see your
Now
name and like,
that's what I said.
yeah,
That's exactly the reason
yeah,
right there is and I said that to my mom. I was like, you do realize that if I put my full name on here, I'm probably not going to get jobs. And she's like, well, oh my gosh, she's like, I wasn't thinking any of that.
yeah,
And it's true.
yeah.
Why would she be thinking that? That is we are not we are African, but we're not African. We are uh displaced. And so it kind of it's not a traditional thing for us to do that unless you're an African in America, which I had a lot of friends that were,
Mm.
and so they all again all their names meant something. And I just remember coming home and being like, what does my name mean? Oh, nothing. It just sounds
It
good.
just sounded good. No, I couldn't. Edward means the wielder of wealth, Edward. Emily
Mm,
means I think it means something I can't remember. I think it was like a warrior queen. And then
oh,
Andrew, I was reminded that Andrew, one of the disciples, when he saw the Lord, the first thing he did was look for his brother Peter. And I always said, if I have a young son, two boys, the youngest would be called Andrew, because that nurturing of caring. And so,
yeah,
but everybody, even the registrar, when they're writing their names, are like, oh, we didn't expect you to give them, we thought you were going to give them African names, but we
yeah.
like these English names because it almost changes how people perceive them with these type of names. And it's unfortunate. But I thought, do I go back to being called Sonny, which is easy and probably anyone could pronounce? Or do I feel proud of the fact that, yeah, my name is a little bit unique and different, but
Hmm.
that's part of my identity. So even now, I mean, look at it, it's right there. Whether
Yeah, for
people can
you,
pronounce
it's
it.
great. For
Well,
you.
no, no, it is, it is. I wish they had called me, Stephen or Walter or something like that.
No,
But
no.
something that people don't know. But I just have to say, okay, I change what it means. So it means my Heavenly Father is always with me, as opposed to being accepting that my grandfather tried to reincarnate back into my life. I'm like, no, I've had to cut away that meaning and come up with it my own meaning. So I think that's the
Yeah.
one thing you learn is that, you know what, I'm going to give my name a meaning that symbolizes the journey that I've been. And so this was probably 20 years ago. So it was
Oh,
not like
wow.
I'd always had that. I had to get rid of what it was initially intended for and recreate its name. So when people ask me now, I don't tell them about my whole story about my grandfather and the oracle and all that and his spirit supposedly in me. I said no, it's my heavenly Father in heaven, God who is, I'm alive in him. So I've given
Oh, I
it
love
a
it.
new meaning and stuff. So
Yeah, I love that. I mean, like I said, I'm still struggling with it because I don't want to make anything up. I really wanted it to derive from something. And Trinice is just unique, which is great in and of itself. And I can, because a lot of people, oh my God, I've never heard anybody called that. Or, I mean, now I have because a lot of people named their kids Trinice from American Idol. So I thought that was cute. And they're in their 20s now. So I'm like, oh, so if I meet a Trinice or if a Trinice follows me, I'll automatically follow them back because I'm like, oh my God. Um, but yeah, a name is very important to identity. And if you don't know where you come from in Africa and then you don't have a special name or whatever, then I feel like you do constantly try to figure out who you are. Now, I figured out who I am. I just want the definition to match, and I just don't know what that would be.
Yeah,
So,
you just come up with I mean, if there's
just
no
any old thing, just
Yeah, because
anything.
if the definition doesn't if you search Wikipedia and ChatGPT says no, there's no real meaning, then you give it a meaning. And
Okay,
because then
I'll
tomorrow,
do
so
that.
yeah, because you give it a meaning and it becomes your name. And no one can argue with that because that's part of your journey, your life
That's
story,
true.
the singing in the room where the Christmas tree is and
Oh,
you
that's
know
true.
the you
See,
know
therapy.
But it's your
I got
journey
a
and your
session in
story.
for free.
It is your journey, your story, and your survival story, and that is
Yeah,
really part of it. And yes, we know your stage name, but actually, that's not, if you ever remember Roots and Kunte Kunte, I mean, the whole journey and the whole story was like, well,
yes.
this is the name we gave you, and you've lived out that name. And though you have your superhero persona, which is Trenyce, but at the core of it is the little girl your parents named who has achieved all of this, left Memphis and went through against all odds. 3 days lining up and to beat all the odds to go to Hollywood, top five in season
Yeah.
two. That's when it was at its height. You endured a lot and that is something that you can't take for granted.
Hmm.
And that's why I do what I do this stuff because you gave me a summary of it, but that's like wow, that's
Oh
just
yeah.
amazing.
We did not. I mean, I literally almost forgot about all the theater that I had done. I was like, oh yeah, Dreamgirls and Ain't Misbehaving and oh yeah, Motown. I mean, yeah, but it's been a wonderful journey, but you're absolutely right. I need to, and I knew, I needed to make peace with my first name, but I do need to make peace with it because it is something that is still kind of gnawing at me a little bit.
Yeah, as I said, we we most artists have a stage name that really that everyone identifies with. But the who's behind the mask, as Simon asked.
I
Simon
think
asked,
Trinice, I honestly think Trinice is really who I am. That's why I told
no,
my mom, I was like, I wish it had been Trinice the whole time. Because I do identify with her with me being unique. But the first name, and also because, the internet is so cruel, it's always lumped in with being ghetto and hood. And it just, I was like, and I'm not, it just kind of,
yeah, but it is a story of somebody who's overcome, and that's how you
yeah.
rewrite the you as I said, the name anyone that's called Namdi anywhere would have the same story. I mean, maybe now they've changed it and people are just seeing Namdis and just calling it, but initially it was very much a traditional cultural name based on
Ah,
the Oracle stuff. And so, yes, it wasn't great to be called Namdi, knowing the history of it. But I had to rewrite it because I know the battles and I know what I've overcome. And, I thought, do I change it? I said, no, I know what I've
yeah.
had to do. I've given it a new name and a new meaning, and I'm standing by it. So, if your name is symbolism of coming out of the hood and stuff, but then you don't, it's where you are now. So despite
No,
that,
I've never been, and I'm gonna say this, like I could never, but that's the thing. I didn't come out of the hood,
yeah, yeah,
so I couldn't even claim that if that was the case. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If that
yeah,
was the case, I could at least say, well, I am from the hood. But, I came from a middle class family, but it just because it's always a laughable type of thing. Oh, your name is that? Okay, well, okay, boom, Quisha, Nunisha, everybody just start, they start going down the line
yeah,
of all
yeah.
those
I
ghetto girl
Oh no,
names.
I
I'm
did,
like,
and I did start off with that, not realizing
yeah,
that that was
see,
part of the. No, no. What was the one on Martin? Um, what was the girl in Martin?
Gina, Pam,
No, the when he does the female character, the neighbor.
oh, Shanae.
Sinead. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
See?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So it just doesn't have a very good connotation. So I'm literally like, Mom, now what were you thinking? Did you
yeah.
never want me to work or
No, 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 no. When you finish your Diana Ross Whitney Houston run, it would be amazing if you come up with a one-woman sort of musical play, using those both names. One, one with your day, and then your superhero name is Trenyce, and but you could mix them around. But it would be interesting to be able
ah,
to use, and that may be a coming out of the shadows and stuff like
that
that.
is such a great idea. A one woman show to sort of celebrate her, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, the strength and resilience and everything, but you don't need her right now because you're on a different trajectory. But she's the one that got you so far and put up the front and everything. But when you got to a
Yeah.
point where you knew who you were, she could rest because she's done all the hard work. And now this is me. And then, the songs change in this new identity. It's more liberating, it's more freedom. And it's the journey that you think about that journey of we have got to toe the line until we get through the door. Once we're in the door and we're accepted, we're different. But before then, we're yes, sir, whatever we have to do, just to get in. And when they let us in a way we don't have to work as hard, we can relax. And that's the transition. We don't always need them. We don't want to. And yeah, I mean,
Mm.
this, yeah,
That's two sessions now. You've given me two free sessions, I feel.
I told you I wanted
So,
to be the Diddy, the guy behind the music, the come the ideas, and then
oh, you're
and
way
help
better
people
than that.
and help people grow. because I'm always seeing and thinking about, how could you just, celebrate and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
it is, because there were times when, yeah, because identities are important, and there's identity that somebody sees in others. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, Bahuna, because that's to me, Trenyce is your stage name.
No, it's my middle name. It's still my name.
Yeah, but it's
I
your
didn't make it
stage name.
up.
No, it's a stage. When I say stage name,
It's a
that's what you
stage name.
use. Yeah, you don't use your full name. You just use Trenyce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so. But
And
anyway,
when I'm acting, I'll put my last name, Trenyce Cobbins. You're right.
yeah,
I don't use the first name at all ever. Matter of
yeah.
fact, I was gonna change it. I was gonna
Legally.
change my yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to completely because I don't have any connection to it. Or at least that's what I was thinking, is that I didn't have any
Yeah.
connection to
I
her.
guess I guess it's one of those things where you're thinking about how has that name held you back in any way? Did it cost you a job, or did it cost you an audition?
I don't use it in auditions. I
Yeah,
don't use it. The last time I had a normal job was 2000. So, but even then, I would put Sean on my resume. I have never
use your
used
full
my
name.
full
How old
name.
were you when you decided to think, oh man, what is this? How old were you? Can you remember?
When I said
Oh,
I'm
what?
not using my name
Oh,
ever,
when you recognized that actually this
this
is a
is
name, this
isn't
name,
me.
yeah, isn't the name that you feel comfortable with. I mean, can you remember how old you were?
Probably 13.
So what were you called when you were 10? What would your mom and dad call? They'll call you by your first.
Sean. Everyone calls me Sean.
Okay,
No one ever called me
your
by
full
my
name.
full name, ever,
Okay.
unless I was new at school and they would go, and they could never pronounce it. And I just be like, and then everyone else is done writing their name and I'm still going.
No, but look at where you are now.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
Look
yeah,
at where you
yeah.
are now. And it isn't
But from
because you
13,
from 13. Okay, but
13.
yeah, look at where you are now. So it'd be good if you ever get a chance after you finish with your Diana Whitney, and
Yeah, that's a really great idea because I was going to do a one woman show years ago about another artist. And now that, yeah, my wheels were turning when you were talking. I was like,
Okay, okay. Um, so good. Don't worry. I look forward to that. I always would always ask my guests, if you were stuck in an elevator and you could watch your favorite movie, what is your favorite movie?
just one?
Your favorite movie. It's not like a box set. It's your favorite all-time movie.
My favorite all time movie is Imitation of Life.
Oh, is that the Stephen Hawking's one?
No, Imitation of Life is, I'm into old movies. I love old films. And I watch it every year at Christmas. So there is um what's the Christmas film?
A Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
And then I watch Imitation of Life. Imitation of Life is about this black woman who is the nanny for this white actress
Hmm.
and her kids or her daughter. So the two daughters, she has a daughter, the nanny, and the actress has a daughter. Their daughters grow up together. But the nanny's daughter could pass for white.
Wow.
And so whenever she would pick her up from school and things like that, the teachers and stuff would gasp like, "You're not her. I mean, are you her nanny?" And she said, "No, that's my daughter." And people would be looking at her like, "Oh my God." And it's about the journey of the young woman who doesn't identify with being black at all. Now, I won't tell you the whole thing because it
Mm,
is worth the watch. And you
okay.
have to watch the one from the 50s with
59.
Juanita. Yes, Juanita
Okay.
Moore. And I have a story about her. I actually had a
Mm,
chance to meet her before she passed away. Now, that's my favorite film. And the mayor asked me to sing for something here in
mm.
Los Angeles. And she was in my limo. They went to pick her up as well. And I was like, oh my God. And I still recognized her face because she has the cutest little round. I'm into cheeks. So she has the cutest little round face. So she comes out and she's like, hi. And she had that smile. And I was like, Miss Juanita Moore. And she goes, how do you know my name? And I went, well, because I watch Imitation of Life every year. And so I'm just gushing on her. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. So that was about a 45-minute ride. And I'm sitting here asking her all the questions. How
Wow.
did you start acting? How was it being on set? Were you treated well? Where did you live? Did you ever get married? Did you ever want children? Like we had, and she had the best time. And I have a picture with her and everything.
Wow.
And at that time, she might have been 90.
Wow.
So she lived a few more years after that. I want to say maybe she passed, I forgot when she passed, 90 something, 93, 90 something,
94. Sorry.
94.
Sorry,
So
2014.
so I think I met her when she was 90.
Oh, she lived to 99.
She lived to 99 years old.
Yeah, she was 99 years old.
So then yeah, well then maybe when I met her she might have been a little older than 90 because it
Yeah.
was just a few years unless it just felt like a few years.
She
But
died
I
in
feel like
2014.
wow, yeah, I want to say she was 90.
Wow.
Somewhere around there. She was up there in age, but she still had her wits about her. She was still very funny and cute, and she sounded the same. And yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But that's my favorite film.
Yeah, I was talking to the girls from Law, Akeisha and Ali,
Oh yeah.
and they told me that film, so I need to watch it now.
Imitation of Life.
Yeah, they said I did the same. What's their favorite movie? And they said an Imitation of Life, and I said okay, and I'd never heard of it, so I will.
You need to get your tissue box ready.
Well, I am a crybaby when it comes to those type of emotional. Schindler's List is my favorite,
Oh,
it
I love Schindler's
but it's the
List.
redemption story that gets me. The fact that, he was out for himself, and then at the end, he was like, I could have borne more. He was, and when he's saying that, I'm just boiling. Like, look at this guy.
Falling.
Yeah. So those type of
Well,
stories get me. So I will
you
watch it over the weekend. So,
you
okay.
must, and then tell me what you think
Yeah.
because as soon as Mahalia Jackson starts singing, just the thought I could well up because you already know what's coming, but you just cannot hold it in. Every year, I've watched that movie every year since I was a kid,
Wow.
and it does the same thing to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
enjoy it.
I will.
Enjoy it.
Well, if it was that hard to find your favorite movie, what is your all-time favorite song?
Ah, please. Not to sing, but just my all-time favorite
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, song, yeah, by an artist, and yeah.
Ah, oh my God, that's hard. No. Has anyone ever said I can't?
Um, I'm trying to think. No, most 90% of them, um, yeah, most everybody. I mean, you know,
Most people have a favorite song.
yeah, because I mean, somebody will say maybe they'll name two, then they'll then revert back to the
To
one.
the one. Hmm.
Yeah.
The first one that popped into my head was I Will Always Love You.
Okay.
However, as someone who uses music to self-soothe,
Mm.
Um, Music is such a, yeah, it's my Lionel's blanket, and I never it's because it depends on how I feel,
Mm.
and because if I feel like let's get this party started, then it's definitely not going to be I will always love you. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I'm going to just say I will always love you because it's the easiest thing to say, I think. But songs are like jackets or clothing. You wouldn't wear a swimsuit in the winter and you wouldn't wear a jacket in the summer. So
That- that- I think because for me, I know that Michael Jackson's "The Lady in My Life" is all-time
oh, that's a
favorite
good
song.
one. That's it. That's a great one. I wanted that in the show so bad.
Oh, Thriller Life? Yeah. The thing
And they
is,
couldn't put
they
it
couldn't
there.
clear. Oh, they
It was
couldn't
too
put
many
it.
songs.
Yeah. I actually restrict how often I hear the song. And I can't even
Mm.
listen to the full version, which had the second verse, because that's how special the song is. I will listen to I don't think I've listened to it in a couple of months because it still has to feel fresh. Yeah, that is all-time favorite song. And the number of people
That's a
have.
great.
Yes, it's a song I wish he had done more of because it did showcase his vulnerabilities and stuff. So yeah, all time. And then as I said, film was always is Schindler's List just because of the redemption element. It used to be Color Purple
Oh
because
yeah.
when they're coming back at the end and she's singing and
Yes.
oh goodness, it's that.
What about Shawshank? Did you like that one too?
It didn't have that emotional connection. Yeah, as I said, I like an ending where the even Coco, when if if when he finds out that when Mama Coco he sings to her and then
Mm-hmm.
she sings back and
Yeah.
so that's emotionally connecting songs. Then I'm boiling and I'm thinking, okay, I've got my cry out, so that's cool. So
Yeah.
it's
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, when you said Lady in My Life, that is a song that no matter what mood I'm in, I'll let it play.
hmm.
It's the music, it's the lyrics, it's his delivery. You're right. It's all of it. It's just like chef's kiss for sure.
Yeah, yes.
For sure. That's a great one. That's a great one, actually.
Yeah,
But I
so
couldn't think of anything that encompassed everything all at once because that's what I was trying to find a song that no matter how I'm feeling, but I have such, when I say my playlist is ridiculous, and everyone's like, you have that? I mean, if I put it on shuffle, it could be anything that comes up, literally anything. And you'll be like, you're weird. Like, you listen to that. Yes. Yes.
Okay, but who do you go to see? I mean, artists go on tour right now. Do you go and see some of the old legacy 90s R&B shows or what? I mean, as an artist yourself, performer, do you go to any of the shows?
If I'm invited, I always want to go because there's nothing like watching someone do what they're made to do.
Hmm.
For once you get to sit back and not be on and you can literally just engage. But I've been so every single time I wanted to see someone, including tomorrow when Diana Ross is going to be here and I have to be on a plane,
Oh, wow.
mad. So, and that would have been my first time seeing her ever live.
Wow.
Pissed. One of my friends was like, "Are you going to be in town tomorrow?" And I was like, Well, no. What do you mean? Day or night?" And he's like, "Night." I went, "No." I said, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I wanted to invite you to see Diana Ross." I was like,
Oh, goodness.
just flips table. I was
Okay.
so hurt by that. But yeah, whenever I can, yes, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. It's going, I mean hip hop, R&B. I'm saying whomever I'm a huge hip hop fan.
Okay.
So, um,
Like who?
especially
Like which artist?
Wu-Tang,
Oh,
Nas, um, oh my gosh, Kendrick, um, gosh, we could just go. I hate when people ask me things like this because then I can never just rattle them off. I have to have a list.
well, you said hip hop, so I'm thinking
But
it. Yeah, okay,
80s and 90s,
okay,
80s and 90s hip hop. I mean, a little bit of the 2000s because hello, we're talking Missy Elliott and, Luda and all of those people. But I'm saying 90s hip hop was just Lauren and,
okay,
oh my gosh, just anybody in that LL, I'll go Busta. I mean, come, see now, see, yeah,
okay.
we're all broke.
They're coming out. Okay, did you see the Wu-Tang their final chamber?
No, I was on the road.
Okay,
And I
okay,
know they had all these special guests, and I'm like, ah, it
yeah.
just, I'll go see hip hop before I see anything. Now that is,
Wow.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
everything to me. Yeah.
I think for me it's hard. So in the 90s, I mean, to me, my favorite decade of music, I was living in LA and in Milwaukee, and I was going to the summer jams. So I was seeing these artists at their prime when they were releasing the albums in mint condition. If you buy the
Oh,
CD and see them live,
yes,
it's no different. It's just amazing. And I think Fugees were
exactly.
like that. But my issue with seeing them now is that because they're not selling, it's not it's sometimes it can feel like karaoke.
Oh,
Sometimes it can feel as if, yeah, I'm just gonna sing the hits, the hits, and I'm not feeling it. And I've gone to a number of their shows, and I'm like, yeah, I'm
you
not.
want to know why? Because the audience, because the newbies are now intertwined with the Gen Zers and the millennials and everything. And so they've either been told people are leaving because they don't know that song or not. And so I'm telling you, it's not the same. We could sit through an album. I don't care if I skip that song, on the album. I'm going to sit through the whole thing because it's you. It's not just what do I like, but I get to see you up close and personal. So even if it's me going, anybody want something to drink? I'll be back, but I can still hear it standing
Mm,
in line. I wouldn't want you to skip it. But these kids now, it's like they only want to hear the ones they know for a fact.
mm,
Get in, get out, get on with your life type of thing. But
yeah.
the experience is seeing those people still doing what they love. I mean, um, yeah,
I mean, if it's a new edition, I can
oh,
appreciate them for what they do because they put on a show. If you don't have a band, because when they come around here, they it's backing tracks, and I know when
oh,
yeah, and because it's expensive. I remember speaking to Karen White, and she loves to play with a band, but she realizes that promoters are saying, yeah, if you're coming here, if you're going here, there, we can't afford
see,
the band, so you
it's
need
not them.
yeah, yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you this, every artist would prefer to have a band behind them. Every
Mm,
single artist, I would think. I mean, if you really can sing, there's nothing like hearing the drummer in the beat in that pocket. There's nothing like a horn section that is giving their all, and there's absolutely nothing like keys and it comes to life when you have a band. With a karaoke track, you got to stick within
Well,
the minutes, the beats, the time. Like you're just like, oh, that's not even how I'm feeling
I'm the one
tonight.
that
But
says karaoke. It is a backing track. I don't want to insult them, but it's a backing track. It's a karaoke. It just feels like you're just playing. For me, it felt like you're just playing a tape and singing over it.
um,
And I'm like, what is this? I go to church and I can listen to the Sunday worship team, and I'm feel like, okay, I've got my live music for the week.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's just been my gripe with it. But I appreciate
Um,
all the artists. I mean, that's why I do what I do is to celebrate the music and the albums and reminisce on that. But
yeah,
yeah, I do sometimes draw the line when it comes to live performance. Plus, I don't live in London anymore, so it's about
right.
an hour and a half. So to commute into London, I live in Kent, which if you Canterbury, if you're on your way to
Oh
France,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it isn't like the days when I lived in London, I could just take a bus and go to a show. So
Yeah.
it
At the
takes a lot.
O2
Yes, whether it's CO2 or Wembley.
or Wembley, yeah. And
Yes.
then Ronnie Scott's. I would go to Ronnie Scott's after the shows a lot. A lot of the West End people would end up at Ronnie Scott's singing our faces off. So there, that's
Okay,
one of
yeah,
my
yeah.
favorite places in London
So
for
yes,
jams.
you're one of the celebrities back in the day. So well, when you ever come to the UK again, have you been since you left to perform?
I I haven't. I haven't actually. I mean, because my show has this big LED wall, it kind of looks like a Vegas show.
Oh.
So it has this big LED wall, this screen of the ladies on the side and me on one side, and the ladies on the other side. It's like a big deal. I would love to come back to London with my show though, but it would have to make sense. It would have to be in the right venue and
Mm.
definitely, yeah, definitely the right venue because yeah.
Yeah, but you're
Hmm.
not the one that carries the TV screen and books the hotels and stuff. You have
Whoa.
people that do that, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it would be having to, I would have to find the right venue for it for sure.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
still intimate, but not, not too big and, just right. And I want that banner in the back because it would all make sense with the gown and yeah, it just
Mm.
would make a lot more sense than the audience being right here in a club.
And then you'd
Hey.
have you and then you have watch your first name become Whitney and Diana Ross.
Oh,
The Memphis girl done good.
we'll get there. I'll get there. I will get there. But right now, it is so like I want to hide. I'll get there, I'm sure.
Just before we leave, were you affected by this fire?
Um, gratefully, I was not affected. I could see it though, from my place. So I was away performing, and it just so happens that I told a friend, hey, you can stay in my place because I'm not there. And he hit me up and was like, it showed me video, and I was like, I was panicking. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And of course, the manager who runs the place that I'm at, she called and was like, um, don't worry, we're taking precautions, blah, blah, blah. But you could see it from my balcony. And when I came home, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, the air was still super thick. The fire was not completely out yet.
Hmm.
So there's still this big billowy, puff of smoke. They were telling people to wear masks because I'm still looking outside. Telling people to wear masks because the air was not fresh yet to,
Mm.
um, yeah, take precautions. They were still watering our grass in case people were deciding to just light matches
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do
yeah.
crazy stuff. It was really scary. And I remember thinking, well, it's just stuff. And a friend of mine, thank God that he was here, he said, well, I packed you a bag and I put all your gowns in there. So even if everything
Guns.
else goes up, you can perform, you can make money.
Okay, okay.
I was like, thank you so
Oh
much.
my goodness.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that's so nice.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, at least you'll still get to make some money back if if it was, yeah. But I was grateful that it didn't hit me. But I've met a lot of people on the road that it did affect, and some people were like, this is the only costume I have left, or
Wow.
it destroyed some of my instruments, or and this is what
Mm.
I did. So yeah, I that just missed it by that much, really.
Wow. Goodness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in LA, it was, the worst we got was smog. And but when it
Right.
rained, it would clear. So I'd never
Mm-hmm.
witnessed earthquakes.
The
But I never,
earthquakes, yes.
yeah, but I never witnessed. There was no ever wildfires and stuff. So, I,
Really?
yeah, no one, yeah, do you know, yeah, I was there in 99 to about 2003. There was,
Over time, I just think people have just gotten more and more sick, to be honest, and bored. And then, of course, there is the shift in the environment where people, they don't want to believe that
climate
the,
change.
yeah, climate change is real and things are moving and the faults, what is it, fault lines are shifting and all kinds of things are happening and we need to be more prepared. But yeah, I think that that's probably what it was. That back then, it's just so much has changed. I mean,
Hmm.
goodness gracious. Now we have earthquakes very often.
Wow.
And when I first moved here, I think I might have felt one earthquake in 10 years.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's been about just in the last 3 years, I think I've felt at least four or
Wow.
five. Yeah,
Okay.
so
So
it's
that
shifting.
yeah, and
It's
then you've got all the stuff with ice and stuff. So it's strange how the city, the town, this country has changed since when, I left the
dramatically.
year after 9/11, and I always
Mm.
remember pre 9/11 it was one of the nicest, freest countries to be in, but post that it just felt like they wanted everyone to live in fear. They've made it
Yeah,
so strict, and it's such a difference. But anyway, um,
absolutely.
Alaska tomorrow performing in front of the Eskimos and the Penguins. It should be a fun show. And then we should be ex looking out to see you in a movie in due time.
Yes, yes,
Fabulous.
in due time as well. And I've had so many meetings with my agents this week talking about what the next level is going to be. And so, yeah, it's a great time, and it's a time for everyone to do exactly what they've always wanted to do without fear. I think that if you don't do it now, then when are you?
Mm.
It's time to dig up those old dreams, the ones that you buried because you thought you were too old to this, to that, and just be like, "Pfft, why not?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm like, yeah, let's do my show. Why not? Let's go sing to the Eskimos.
Yeah.
Let's
And do that one woman show.
yeah, that's and I think that's really gonna be next. You gave me something to think about. Because I had thought about it before, but not in this way. So
Hmm.
it has also a burial of something and also a reincarnation of something else. So yeah, that's
Well,
I shall
after,
quote you at some point in it.
yeah, please do. Well, the
And
fact,
behind me, everybody, this is
yeah,
Nambi Stan.
yeah. Well, I will come for the special premiere. Don't worry.
Yes, please do. That'd be great.
Well, I thank you that you gave me 3 hours of your time this evening.
Good luck editing.
No, 3 hours is. I think Tracy was 3.5. So
I
it
was gonna
is.
say, how long do you go normally? Okay, so that's good.
It is by person.
Okay.
Um,
Tracy who?
Spencer.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my goodness. We loved her growing up. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Wonderful.
When she was on covers, and yeah, I think my longest was Tammy Lucas. I don't know if you know Tammy Lucas. She was part of Teddy Riley's camp. So if you remember anything from Guy and Blackstreet, like she sang Tonight's the Night. She wrote
Oh yeah.
Joy for that Black. She wrote for Michael. But Tammy was 4 hours. Um, yeah, that felt like a lot. Yeah.
Real musician. Because she's a real musician and they
Yeah.
have stories.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes.
watch that one because I was telling you that I forgot what I commented on. And you said, or someone said, "Oh, we should get you on." Was that you?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I forgot. I commented on something and I was like, "Oh my God, I just love hearing the behind the scenes of whatever it was." And I can't remember which.
Oh
one
no,
it
yeah.
was. But yeah,
Yeah,
great,
no.
great news.
I think as I mentioned, for me, it's the like I don't have a script, so I didn't have there's no
Oh,
paper here. There's no I don't have Wikipedia open and stuff. So it is
oh
pretty much
wow.
going through the run that just listening to you and talking. So there's no I don't I don't pre-play anything, and I look
Wow.
yeah, so there's nothing here. So I remember that yes, you were on American Idol. I remember watching it, and I can remember Clay and Ruben, but I can't remember the rest of the people. So everything is just to hear your story. And Donnie Simpson, when I interviewed him,
Oh,
because I remember watching him as a kid and watching and BET and Video Soul, and he was saying that look, when they used to give him scripts to interview guests, he said he threw it away, and he's like. And that's why he was so real because he'll listen to the guests, and he'll
mhm.
just whatever they say, that's naturally you just build up,
That's the
and that's
best way.
yeah. So as I said, I
Mhm.
don't I don't know the I know the direction is where
Yeah.
you were born and raised and how you got into singing, and so I've got the map, but we fill it in as we go along. Now, if you'd released 5 albums and you went to different
Right.
labels, I probably would have said, okay, when you release this album and this song, we would have dealt it. But but that's if but I don't know the songs and all that as much, so I tend not to talk about the music as much, but talk about the journey and the experience
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
And how
Um,
long have you been doing this?
I
You said since
started
COVID, right?
May of 2020. May of 2020. So Shauna McTalla was my first guest. And then
Mhm.
the next day was Father MC. And I
Ah,
think I think it was Dawn Robinson was next and then Rift and Timmy Gatlin from Guy and Melvin Riley. So these were the first 5 or 6 people that I started. And so
you came out swinging.
yeah, well, no, it was the fact that, and I had 10 people and they were just giving me the space. I don't think I've changed much since then. It's just that I know now I'm a little bit more comfortable to say, oh, can we get your screen and stuff? But
Mhm.
I still get nervous when I'm sitting in
Really?
front. Um, you may get
Really?
guests like, say, Elder Barge, who is the most very shy and an introvert. So when you're interviewing him, you almost have to, because I'm soft spoken, so it's easy just to listen and give him space. Because I've seen him on interviews where people talk over him and he struggles. Um, so yeah, you try and mirror some of the guests.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job. I'll say that. Did you know any of the people that when you first started, were you like, I'm going to start with people I know and then, or you just started reaching out?
No,
Oh,
I
really?
just reached. Shana and both Father MC. I just reached out within 24 hours, and they both said yes. Um, and but I don't know I didn't know anyone in the industry. Now, what has happened subsequently is that somebody has seen and watched and said, "Oh, I loved what you like." Lily from SWV saw my interview with Tabitha from Cut Close, and she
Oh,
was like
yes.
listening
Oh,
to her story about
mm.
how they'd finished the first album and they were getting ready to record a second album, and in Atlanta she heard that they were auditioning for somebody to replace her, and she was like, what? So she was
Wow.
just talking about her story, and very similar to what you did about contracts and not being happy with Keith for the fact that um he was focusing on just one person in the group and stuff. And so he was like, yeah, you're causing too much trouble. So, and then Lily just said, okay, I want to come on and share my story. So that's
Mm,
been like
I
how
love
people
that.
have come on that way like that. So yeah.
Yeah. And you're easy to talk to and you ask great questions. So it makes a difference. I mean, I didn't even realize it had been that long, to be honest. I did. I was like, oh my God, I'm just up here running my mouth. And then I was thinking, am I talking too much? Does he understand? Am I talking in order of things?
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
Because
fine.
I'm gonna be honest, perimenopause, that's a real you're talking and then all of a sudden your words just go,
Are
goodbye.
you serious?
See you later.
No, no. I think what
Okay.
happens with people is people tend to look for dirt. So like, so they can, okay,
Mm,
I want to,
clickbait.
yeah, clickbait. But also, I guess it's different when you're not just talking about other people or the music. I wonder
Mhm.
how it's like when you're talking about yourself and somebody's actually interested. When you're in a therapy session, you're supposed to, the therapist hardly speaks, should hardly speak, and they're supposed to listen, you know,
Yeah.
open-ended questions and let you flow, and then say, but you just said this, what did you mean by that? And then you talk, and then that's how, as a therapist, you're just almost like a conductor. You don't say too much, but you guided discovery. So you start to self-reflect while they're just leading you in a way
Mhm.
like that. So, I started off, and I don't tend to talk too much, and because it's part of the process is to listen.
Got you. Because I was like, well, and I'm gonna just put a button there because I know I'll just roll. So, and I don't want to get off topic and, things like that because I don't know what you're going to ask. So I'm like, if he's going to ask it, let me let him ask certain things. And that way
Yeah, I don't have a, yeah, as I said, I don't have a script. When
yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know that. That's great.
the worst is when
Wow.
somebody says, "How long is this going to be?" And I'm like, "Oh goodness." I know Pamela Long from Total, when she
Hmm.
says, "Okay, we've got 20 minutes and stuff," and that was the first time we met, and I managed to squeeze an hour from that first time,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I think she has been on my show maybe 6 times since.
Oh, wow. That's
And almost
awesome.
every year. So yeah, from that time when she said, "Yeah, we've got 20 minutes, so let's go," to now that, okay, Pam, let's come back and
Now
just
she
keep
trusts.
yeah, yeah.
Now she
So
trusts you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's the fun part of it. Is yeah. So Eddie Levert is coming up next.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a good one too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So have you packed for tomorrow?
I have been packed for probably about 4 or 5 days.
Okay, okay.
I don't wait till the last minute, especially if I'm going to shoot this film. I have another bag that I have to pack up so I can grab it and go back to the airport if we're shooting the next day. So, yeah, I can't leave things to the last minute. I'm not that person.
Okay.
Oh no, I want to know. And then if I need to switch a couple of things, I'll go, oh yeah, this instead of that. But no, that bag has been sitting there
Okay.
collecting dust.
I think one question I forgot to ask was, we had the whole Me Too movement that came out to
Mm.
really sort of expose some of the challenges women had, and it's gone quieter. How had you, as a woman, especially when you moved away from your family, managed to, over the years, navigate knowing that there are different ways to get into the industry and get to the top without compromising? I mean, how has,
Um, that's a great question. To be honest, I feel like I would be a lot further had I done a lot of things. And I think that from the moment that you enter the industry, it is for women, um, it's an immediate thing. Hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you come by here? Why don't you, sing? I'll give you a record deal if,
mm,
meet me here. It's always that, and you always think, okay, I'm going to try it again, and this person's not going to do that, and then they
mm,
do it. Um, so I would say in the beginning, I also think they can sniff out that you're new
Mm,
and you're not, and you don't know the industry enough to really just, I'm not saying you're not saying no, I'm saying you're not saying no with authority. You're not entering the room like, are we ready to start? You're entering the room like, hi, I'm ready to start. You know what I
mm,
mean? So
mm,
there is that. And when they smell the fresh meat, it's an instant thing. So I'm going to say the first 6 years was disappointment after disappointment after That's why I decided to go in the acting route, because the music route was so toxic,
mm,
and I would always have to have someone there that I trusted, or it would become, okay, where are the exits and
mm,
how do I get out of here if I need to? I even started saying, "Oh, I like recording in the daytime." I stopped
mm,
recording at night, things like that. Um, so when the Me Too movement happened, I feel like it rescued a lot of people, not just women. Men go through it too.
mm, mm.
Um, Maybe more than they even say. I
Yeah.
think a lot of men just don't have um, a lot of men are thinking ego, and
Mm,
you hear people tell stories, and then guys say, you let a big old man do, or you let a,
mm, mm,
how, wow, that's not, no, because when I was 13, this 30-year-old, and they think that it's considered good. But I'm like, you guys don't understand. There's a lot of men that have been violated and don't
mm,
look at it as a violation. Um, so yeah, the Me Too movement was something that I was definitely behind, but I have always been the person that I'm going to be truthful and honest, especially about myself. I will tell my own dirt before somebody else can. There's no way you're going to put me on a chopping block and I not say, yeah, I did that. Or yeah, when I was 19, this happened, or whatever. I will spill all my beans, which leaves those people with nothing.
mm,
So if they don't have anything on you, then it's much easier for them to walk away. Will you be leaving money behind, money on the table? Probably, yeah. But I don't want that. I want to be able to sleep at night. Um, I don't want anybody's husband. I don't want anybody's boyfriend. I don't want the karma of any of those things.
mm,
Everything that I've done in my career was something I earned, and I can honestly say that. And moving forward, if there's any award or whatever, I would be able to stand up and say, yeah, I worked hard for this, and not, well, thank God maybe if I hadn't done that, I wonder if I would have even gotten this or whatever. So I think it's being from the South, of just,
mm,
between the
mhm,
whole Southern thing of believing strongly in God and thinking karma is real,
mm,
and also just not wanting to lead with that. I
mm.
mean, I've seen it so many times, and 9 times out of 10, you end up working your way to the middle, but you rarely get to the top. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm,
So I never want to take that chance, and but I'm not gonna say I didn't have the opportunities to do so. It's just not my lane. And also, even if those people said those things and then you say no, at least you know, and that, well, at least they know who you are, and they can continue to say, you know what, I respect you. And
mm.
you'll get something out of it. Maybe not the thing that they were talking about, but somewhere up in there. I've had a few times where someone would say, oh, yeah, such and such referred you. And I'm like, thinking in my head, oh, really?
Yeah.
Even after the no, so there is something to be said about a woman or man standing in their power and knowing when something is off and wrong. And
Mm,
because the moment that you say yes, you will be chasing that for the rest of your life. You will not rest. I don't care how many accolades. I don't care. I've seen it too many times where people fall from grace, drugs, all the things,
yeah.
because of one thing that they decided to go along with that they didn't want to do. And so, yeah, I care too much, and I'm an empath, and no.
Yeah. No, it is, I think. yeah, the Me Too movement helped expose a lot, but it is really tough to imagine, especially the vulnerability of women. Now, of course, yes, we know men are going through it the same way. I mean, Tony Terry,
Oh,
Tony Terry, when he was on the show, he spoke about how a big executive, he got invited to a party, shows up, he was the only one there. And
that's happened to me.
yes, and
That's happened to
the
me.
executive had him on loudspeaker, and he was talking to a famous actress, and she says, "You're going to make him a star, aren't you?" And the guy says, "Well, let's see how he behaves tonight." And then he gets him off speaker, and then he's like, "Okay, yeah, I need to get out of here because this is not,
Yeah.
yeah." And it's like, but
And
what
you have
happens?
to
Yeah,
be so, I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, no, no.
But you have to be so strategic with your no. I don't know if men do in particular, but women have to be, you have to let them down, but make it seem like it was their idea. If that makes any sense.
Mm,
Like, I've been in situations where I've had to try to play so dumb sometimes,
mm,
or, yeah, like I mean, oh, I didn't even know you were trying to do, were you trying to do, oh, I didn't even know you were, oh, I would have never, oh, you weren't acting like that to me, like just to get out of the room, literally just until I can get someplace where I feel safe.
mm.
Um, and then I just try to forget about it. If they bring it up, oh, I didn't know. Oh, no, it's fine. I didn't realize you did. Of course I
Wow.
saw. Of course I felt. Of course I. But the point is to get out of the room. The point is to not have them angry right then and there because
Mm,
you don't know this person. I mean, they were bold enough to approach you at a party, or, in a bathroom, wherever, in the middle of, because sometimes it's not when you're alone, which is
mm.
really crazy. But a lot of that stuff happens out in the open. A lot of that stuff happens in a session that's being paid for, and you're just
Wow.
like, wow. So yeah, it's not always easy, but I prefer saying no and you know
Okay.
getting out
Yeah.
of there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So just, I mean, just guys, if you're too desperate to make it, people will sense that, and they know that you are willing to compromise whatever it is so it's not really, it shouldn't be worth it. I mean, I worked briefly in that industry, and the and I remember going to, in parties, you had, Mike Tyson and everyone in parties, and it felt like, wow, look at it, I'm going to be famous. And but I knew that my boss was telling me that we're about to go on tour with the group, and
Mm,
last year we went on tour with John B, and look at, we got all the band, got all the groupies, and it's going to be fun. And all of a sudden, I start to recognize that what they try and do is, in order to they need in order to get your trust, they need to put you in very compromising situations where you can't speak or say anything, and then you give yourself, yeah. So it would have been very subtle like that, and
mm-hmm.
yeah. So I felt I wasn't spiritually compatible with what I was dreaming about, and that is when I left the industry and moved to the UK. Um,
I get
and
it.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it takes a brave soul to try and to make a career safely within that industry. Because yeah, as I said, I thought it was not what I dreamt. Not what I thought. I just thought it was people, creative people who just love to entertain. But
Yes.
yeah, but with loads of wolves,
Yes. And
loads
you
of
don't
wolves.
want to believe it, especially if you grew up idolizing certain people. And it really is heartbreaking when you see who that could be, you know? And it's not usually the people that you think. And that's why it's
Mm,
so heartbreaking because you're like, whoa, that's talk about a mask. And once you get past that though, I think you can fully walk in your purpose because If you can get past saying no to the money and the
Mm,
experience and the jets and the jewelry and the, whatever else that entails,
mm,
then you're a good person. To be to be fair,
yeah,
you're a good whole human.
yeah, yeah. And
And what is
also,
success? You're
mm,
thinking, oh, success is all that, and you're like, no, 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 no. Success is what I'm doing right now. Sleeping well at night because I've created a show that I'm in love with,
mm,
acting, singing, teaching, and I'm still doing exactly what I said I was going to do. I didn't do what I thought I would do,
mm,
but I'm still doing what I was meant to do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate part is that you're not compromising for something short term.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so
exactly.
my hope for those who are watching, and especially those who want to get into industry, if it's going to cost you your life, it's not going to be worth it.
Not at all. Not at all. Don't do it, Keep your
Yeah.
sanity.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it's been great. So when you do get back, we'll have to
Yeah,
bring you back on. And
I'd love that.
yeah, so you can tell us about your journey and your filming and everything. So
Yeah,
yes,
sounds good.
yeah, and we may even do it live too, because that'll be fun as well, because we have people that can ask questions when you come back.
Awesome. That sounds good. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, no, you've been a great guest, and you've been, great stories and stuff. Hence, it is 1:15 in the morning.
I
And
was gonna say you should be in bed.
I should be in bed, but yes,
You're rocking yourself to sleep. I can see it. I said, oh, he's
not
shutting
not
down.
not necessarily. Yeah, it's 1:45 in the morning, but it's
Oh,
been a fun. It's 1:15, but
wow.
it's been a fun one, and so that's why. So when
Yes.
you come back, we'll go live as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Namdi.
Oh, appreciate it, and I'll love to hear more about imitations of life. I will watch it before.
Imitation of life.
Of life.
Yes.
I'll watch it before you get back, and then you will tell us about Alaska and
We
what
should
is thou
discuss.
name?
Oh,
What is thou name?
all of that, I guess.
Woman thou art loose.
Exactly. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Have a great one.
I will take care. Safe journey
Okay.
tomorrow.
Thank you. Later.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I did miss you with
What was it like growing up?
she's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay.
They don't understand what those boys winning all
Play it.
I mean, I love all different genres.